17th, 2021 at 6 p.m. I call this meeting the Wellfleet Select Board to order. The meeting will be held by a Zoom video conference in accordance with the temporary suspension and enhancement of the open meeting law requirements by Governor Baker. The first item on the agenda is announcement, open session, and public comments. Please note that public comments must be brief and the board will not deliberate or vote on any matter raised solely during announcements and public comments. Do we have anything from the board or from the audience? Not much of an audience tonight. Okay, not seeing any. On to.
Nope, Ryan has his hand up.
Ryan has his hand, yeah.
Sorry. Oh boy, I'm just trying to find the thing I wrote.
I have it up on the screen for you, so when you're ready.
All right. Anyways, I just wanted to try to let people know that the federal government has opened an emergency broadband benefit program, which offers a discount up to $50 a month and a one-time discount on your monthly internet fees, and a one-time discount of up to $100 for a device. If you go to the next slide, let's see. So this the website is at the top as to where to go to register. There are a number of different ways that you might qualify for this program. There's the usual income restrictions, but it also can be a substantial loss of income with a household income below $99,000 for a single filer, or $198,000 for joint filers. If a student's receiving Pell Grants, free or reduced school meal programs. And I just wanted to try to make the public aware that they can get this benefit now. And Comcast is one of the ISPs that this program is going through. So thank you.
Okay, thanks, Ryan. Okay, the first item of business is dredging. It's just come to my attention that there's been some issues as far as contacts with dredging. I had been reached out to by the chair of the dredging task force. And it seems like there needs to be some order in the way that dredging, the point of contact for dredging, because there's been multiple contacts for people, and the Army Corps would prefer to deal with one point of contact. So it's my opinion that and their opinion as well, that the point of contact, it should be the harbor master. And so I'd just like to clarify that as a board, that the harbor master should be the primary point of contact for dredging related matters. And I think there's just a little bit of confusion about the charge of the dredging task force. And I think, at this point, I think we should probably just clear up the confusion that's going on. I don't know if there's anyone here right now that's involved in dredging.
Well, thanks, Mike, for knowing that. Yeah. What do you need to know?
Point of order.
Yeah.
So this wasn't actually on the agenda that was posted online.
Yeah, it's on
today's agenda. So this item was not on the agenda that was posted 48 hours ahead of time.
So
is it May 17th? The one I printed has got this on it.
Yes, but that was only posted today, the actual hard copy of that,
okay,
that PDF.
fine. Let's just deal with it another day then.
So Michael, would you just forward that to Chris Algeier, who's chair of the dredging committee? I know he probably has it, and I know they've discussed it and worked it out, so I don't know
Okay,
what you're referring to, but just forward that to him.
okay, that's fine. I kind of,
It was actually tomorrow's agenda, that it's the first agenda item, because I know Will wanted to be here for that. It wasn't on today's.
Okay, all right.
sorry, did I? Oh, for some reason it's on this one right now. Okay, that's fine. I just, on the one I printed out.
Well, the dredging task force is on today.
No,
Yeah, on the PDF that's attached to the meeting
Not
for
for
today,
us.
but that wasn't posted until today. That PDF wasn't attached to the agenda.
Mike?
oh, the agenda PDF. I see what you're saying.
Yeah,
Okay, that's no big, deal. We just take it up next time and I'll consider it an announcement, I guess, or select board report.
Yeah,
There's an issue. We don't have to discuss it.
right, we don't.
good.
It's being worked on.
Well, we need to work on it. That's all.
Well, it has been worked on. I'm
Oh, has it?
surprised you got something, so, okay,
Okay,
moving on.
all right. Yeah, maybe it's already cleared up. I don't know. Okay, moving on. So now we have annual town meeting warrant discussion and placement, and budget discussion. So I don't know, as far as administration's concerned, and Harry, what you advise we should take up first here. Imagine what we do with the warrant. What's remaining on the warrant is all the capital expenses that are left to place. And I guess maybe we should start with just a budget discussion
Okay,
and then move on from there.
would you like for me to do that?
Yeah, that would probably be good because you know the most about it right now.
So here's where we stand. To the best of my ability to determine, we still have a gap that we need to close between revenues and the expenses on the operating budget. And I'll talk about specifics, but I guess first I want to talk a little bit about generalities. Excuse me, in order to close that gap, there really are only two alternatives. One of them is to reduce the size of the budget so that it fits within the revenue limits that we're aware of. And the other choice is to change the revenue limits. And the principal way you can change the revenue limits, given the accounting deficiencies we're working on, is to look at the stabilization fund. So I don't think that we are ready to tell you exactly what number that should be, but I think we're probably going to end up proposing some number from the stabilization fund. It could be $200,000-300,000. We just don't know. And that carries with it a caveat. And that caveat is that I don't think that by the time this warrant is ready to get signed, we will know to a certainty exactly where we are and where we're going. And my suggestion, and I think that it's essentially unavoidable, that sometime before the tax rate is set, so sometime this fall, we will end up with a special town meeting to hopefully with a little bit more clarity in terms of fund balances and free cash and everything else, that we'll be able to do a little bit better job of zeroing in on a budget. But you've got to adopt a budget now so that town operations can continue on July 1st. So even if it's not a perfect budget, we should make our best efforts to come as close as we can, understanding that we have made the best estimates that we can based on incomplete and potentially not completely accurate information, which is a challenge. To be a little more specific, right now my worksheet shows me with a deficit of $91,600. It also, I also need to make a couple of changes to the operating budget. One of them is to, I got to make sure that I added back in the $30,710 for the body cams, which I believe the board has approved. And I'm going to propose that we remove $5,000 from the emergency management budget. And the reason for that is we have a $20,000 line item for funding consulting requests in general administration. So we don't need to sprinkle them throughout the operating budget. We can go to that one line item for those amounts. And I understand that the fire chief has raised this with the police chief, and the police chief is willing to trust the town administrator to make those funds available should he need the $5,000 that was originally in the emergency management budget. There are some other significant uncertainties. One of them is adjustments that will need to be made to the FY21, the current fiscal year budget. I don't have specifics, but it seems like there are some accounts that have been overspent or will have been overspent by the end of the fiscal year and will have to be brought back into balance. My budget worksheet just has a $25,000 item as a placeholder there, but that could be off by a factor of 10. I just do not know. So with that, with those comments, in order to generate these numbers, what I've done is on budget items where the select board hasn't approved a budget yet, or where I don't know that they've approved the budget yet, I've just moved the town administrator's request into the select board column. And so that's where that number, the operating budget of $21,910,644 comes from, all those assumptions. Let's see. There are some articles in the draft warrant for which there is no source of funding identified at present. And those will all default to raise and appropriate if we can't find another source of funding. The assumptions I've made have all assumed that those will all be raised and appropriated. And the last item is that we have capital issues we have to look at. There are some capital items that are both immediate and essential that we really have to find a way to fund, whether that's stabilization funds or override or debt exclusion. We have to face up to that reality. And finally, not to pile on here, but in time for the town clerk to order ballots for the annual town election, she needs to know what debt exclusion and what override questions the select board wants on that ballot. And so that means that sometime this week, you have to vote on specific debt exclusions and specific overrides. And at this point, that probably means at Thursday's meeting, given open meeting law posting requirements. And that's probably the last opportunity you have to do that. There are some other nit type details to talk about, and but that's kind of overview of where we are right now. Any questions?
Yeah, Harry, so the capital expenses, there's still quite a few of them that we're not going to raise and appropriate, that we'll have to find debt exclusions or remove from the warrant.
Well, yes, that's true. Right now, what I have among the articles that propose either overrides or debt exclusions total $3,410,000 and change. Now, 1.9 million of that is the wastewater treatment design and construction money for 95 Lawrence Road. So if you pull that out, the other articles, and there were about 24 of them, net up to about $1.5 million. Ultimately, if you vote to put all those on the annual town election as override or exclusion questions, when you get to town meeting, it's always permissible to say, Project X is something that we really can't do this year because, so we're going to indefinitely postpone it at town meeting, and that will make the ballot question moot. So these essentially are a wash in my calculation because I've added them in to the revenue side as excluded debt, and I've got them on the expense side as warrant articles. And if they go away as warrant articles, they go away from both sides of the ledger. So it's really more a question of how much you want to ask for, as opposed to whether you need these to remove these things to balance it. They'll balance with or without them. It's just that there's a big ask associated with keeping them in. Does that help?
Yeah, I mean, I guess my feeling is that if we're gonna have a fall town meeting to clean things up, that we should really look at our warrant and figure out what needs to happen right now on this town meeting for asks and move the rest of the things to the fall town meeting warrant. Because we do have the big ask for 95 Lawrence Road, but I'm concerned about the number of ballot questions, like the number of overrides as well. So maybe the best strategy is to look at the overrides or exclusions that are recurring costs, and we had this discussion before, like the cruisers and things, and kind of put them into a override, and and kind of lump them in so it's tied into one question, and move the other things, or maybe have a couple of those, and move the other things off into the fall.
Yeah.
Because we may be able to move them into budget, some of them into the budget, when we have free cash.
One reason for keeping the 95 Lawrence Road article in is the RFP for a developer for that project has appeared in the Central Register now, so that the RFP for a developer for that is live now, and part of the town's participation in that is building that plant. I think Charlie looked like he was going to say something.
Oh, well, thanks, Harry. Yeah, I think I was just thinking about this idea of if the board could talk about, what's critical between now and, September, and try to focus on that, then we could take a number of these items that probably wouldn't happen before that and delay them till a fall special town meeting. The other nice thing about that approach is by then we'll have, I hope, accomplished a lot on your behalf to review fiscal matters. And, clearly we can certify free cash. I have no idea what that might be. But, maybe we have a free cash situation that would allow us to use some of those funds to finance some of these projects, and then have less burden on taxpayers in terms of exclusions and capital exclusions or debt overrides. So that's what I was going to mention. Thanks, Harry.
Okay, Helen?
Yeah, Harry, to you, would you care to be, your personal opinion, to give us a list of the articles that you would consider, I'm not asking you to triage, just go through the articles that you would like to have as debt exclusions or as overrides.
Well,
Give
okay.
at least, one sec, just a loose idea.
They're all either Proposition 2.5 overrides or debt exclusions, Helen.
Yes, but which ones, I'm sorry, I said it backwards, Oak Pollen. Triage the ones that you might think could wait. That's what I was trying to say.
Well, I just kind of go down the list. Police cruisers, there was one on the warrant for last year that was withdrawn. I think that that is something that we've already postponed longer than we should have. And fire department command car and portable radios probably are similar type things. I don't know enough about the Marina response boat to know whether Will is in desperate need of that or whether he can, survive for another year, or whether if we vote it now, the boat's not going to show up for 18 months anyway. So that's a question that probably needs to be asked of the harbor master. Same thing with the DPW roll-off truck replace. That's a $250,000 item. And, is it a situation where the current one is close to not being roadworthy and we've got to do something, or can it be nursed for another year? Same question I'd ask Jay about the South Wellfleet, the old fire station roof, whether that's something that can survive or not. Baseball backstops, I'm not too concerned about a pass ball going through the backstop. But compare that with resurfacing the basketball courts, I'd worry about tripping hazards and liability issues there. So that's something I might think to be more immediate than the backstops. So you just get the kind of the sense of the way I'm looking at it, but a lot of these things, there is much more detailed, in-depth knowledge within the departments, and that it would be presumptive of me to tell you what to do with those articles based on essentially no background understanding.
Hey, Jay, I see your hands up, so I'll call on you real quick, and then Helen and
Thanks, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Harry. Before you guys even were talking about this, I was going through our list, just seeing what we could maybe shave a little bit for this upcoming town meeting. And there are some items that I could offer as a suggestion to delay. One of them being the substation roof. We could defer that a year, or perhaps try and use our operating budget and our facilities budget to take on that project. The canopy extension and guard shack at the transfer station, that's not critical at this point. I think that could also be deferred, including the Mayo Creek Engineering and Keller's Corner revetment. I mean, those are very important projects, but in the grand scheme of things of what the town's dealing with right now, I think those items could be deferred, which would total of $170,000 to free up in the Proposition 2.5. The backstops, I think, are important to keep on, and the reason why I'm saying that is they've been deferred for years, and I just got an email from Becky today saying that there was a metal piece of the fence that came down during one of the games. Luckily, it didn't hurt anybody, but I mean, it's something that I think needs to be fixed soon. And the basketball court too. I'm not sure, Suzanne could speak to that, but I don't know how important that would be at this point. But those are my suggestions to shave off some of the money.
okay, thank you, Jay. Janet,
This is all supposed to be done by Thursday, yes?
yes.
If not sooner?
Mhm.
So I think we talked last meeting, and I trust all the department heads. I trust Harry, I trust Charlie Sumner to just kind of either talk to the department heads, or they could email, especially if they are somewhat assured, and nobody's ever completely assured, that if we can vote on these or fund these in the fall, what is priorities and what can they reduce? And I think every department could come up with a bit, especially if it can be brought up again in the fall. And they all know about this. I mean, everybody's got to know that we've been looking at this. Thank you.
Thanks, Janet. Ryan?
I generally don't like to defer decisions to a later date if we can make certain decisions now. I mean, that's not a good way to develop effective policy. I would say with I mean, if we go through them all, the backstops at the at the rec fields, they're a safety hazard right now as they are. The basketball court, we don't even know if it actually needs to be resurfaced or not. It's been a certain number of years since the last resurfacing, and there was no information about the current condition of the surface at the basketball court. I'm also going to kind of put Chief Hurley on the spot here. So Chief, you have 2 vehicles up for replacement this year, or for this town meeting. Would you be okay with, because it sounds like one of them's in significantly worse condition than the other, if I'm gathering that correctly. Would it make sense to defer the second cruiser to the fall?
I mean, answer the question in twofold. Yes, one vehicle is worse than the other. Understand a few things, and I don't want to delay tonight, that the vehicle replacement plan, we're starting to approach a point here where if we buy 3 or 4 cars in a short period of time, 4 or 5 years down the line, we will be replacing those. The plan kind of spreads this out over a 5-year period. So right now, really, without anything, we're down 3 right now. The 2 that are being asked for will still be down 1. I am also hearing that building these cars out and ordering them is also being pushed out 3 to 6 months because of supply issues. And so we may not even see these vehicles until the fall or next spring. Right now, the youngest vehicle in the fleet already has over 50,000 miles on it. So the repairs are racking up. I'm about 30,000 in repairs this year. So I see where the board is coming from, and yes, I mean, anything that could possibly be worked out, but we're kind of hitting that critical point here of these vehicles are just racking up, and how do we start replacing them prudently? So that's all. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, as far as the vehicles go, I don't want to be in a situation where we're asking for 3 cruisers next year. And I know last year was it both of them, Chief Hurley, that were, was there 2 requests last year and we moved only on one of them?
Yeah, there was a request for 2. 1 was removed and the other 1 was voted down.
Right.
So
At the
coming
ballot.
into this year, I didn't ask for 3. One of them we're just trying to limp it along. At some point, we may have to start looking at leasing if that's a more viable option if we keep falling behind on vehicles. But right now, I'm asking for 2 in this fiscal year just to try to stay one step ahead.
Yeah, I don't think we can put it off anymore because we're outpacing the cost in maintenance. But I think, Janet, I think in one respect, it's a good idea to go to the departments, but I think maybe we should just start looking through the warrant and seeing what we can trim right now. And then if we're unsure, then we should, defer that back to the department and see if we can do it. But I think we can make some of these decisions right now to move some of these to the fall. I think with emergency response vehicles, my inclination is to keep those on this ballot. They're, vital to the community. I think they've been postponed long enough. I see Chief Pauly's got his hand up. But I'd like to start going through these warrant articles if the board's okay with that. Go ahead, Chief.
Let's do it.
Chief.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've got a very, very poor internet connection, so you may lose me. I think I can help you with this also. The very next warrant article is to replace the command car. It should have been replaced 2 years ago. It failed at the budget at the ballot last year. We have sufficient money in ambulance receipts to pay for that car out of ambulance receipts. So that would just be a transfer out of ambulance receipts on the capital B, on the appendix B budget. So you can, my recommendation is to take that warrant article off. and just move it over to our traditional capital replacement plan, and we'll fund that out of the ambulance receipts fund.
Okay,
The other issue before I lose you is the portable radios. I wish I could do the same thing there, but I can't, because I don't really have a better number. I wish I did, but I'm going to ask that stay on the ballot, and we'll just have to see what the voters decide.
okay. Radios. Okay, Jay, Helen, is that your hand up?
Yeah, two questions.
Okay,
I see Will Sullivan is here, and through you, Mike, this is the first question. Will, tell us again about the boat, the rescue boat. The vote you're asking for response.
Yeah, so we're asking for a new response boat. Our boat was built in the 90s. We've been told for many years by Bay Sales, who has maintained it and taken care of it, to not put any more money in this boat. We keep on doing it because it hasn't been on the budget, and trying to make it last a little longer. We've been told that the engine wall is about to break through. It's getting pretty thin, that when we'll start mixing oil and water and spitting that out the exhaust. The boat takes on water. We got to regularly take it out and drain it. All the electronics have been replaced and consistently replaced on it, because most of them are pretty well fried. And that's what we're going out to rescue people on right now.
Okay, thank you.
yeah.
Second question, Mike. Chief Hurley. So I was taking notes, listening to every word you said. You said $30,000 worth of repairs. And is that since January, or is that in the last 12 months, last
Right.
fiscal year?
Or in this fiscal year.
Thank you.
okay. Okay, so maybe we can put the warrant up, or I don't know if I have the most recent draft of the warrant here, but I don't think it really matters for the capital improvement stuff. And maybe we can put it up on the screen, so we're just all on the same page here.
Harry, do we have it?
I believe that Rebecca sent it to all of you. I can certainly put it up. One other capital item, Jay has mentioned a couple of times, going back now for 3 weeks at least, about the engineering for the Route 6 Main Street intersection. And as I understand it, that work is currently on the 2023 Transportation Improvement Plan, and which means that the engineering has got to be completed before then, or it will fall off that plan, and we'll have to compete with everybody in this highway district to get back on it again. It will be years. We have previously borrowed $200,000 in, I think, 2014, and another $69,000 in 2015 to pay the bulk of this engineering. But we haven't appropriated money to pay for all of it. Almost all of that debt has been retired. I think there's one payment left on the 2015 note. We're still trying to research to determine exactly how much we need to borrow. It ranges from a low of about 56,000 to a high of about 138,000. I drafted an article that's in this draft warrant to borrow basically the same style of borrowing that we've done the 2 previous times, but the board hasn't acted on that. And that's another one where if we delay and if we lose our place on the TIP, the Transportation Improvement Plan, it could be 4 or 5 years before we get back on there again.
Yeah.
So that's something that you should look at when we look at this warrant. That happens to be Article 3V right now. It's the very last of the 3s.
Okay, and I think it's probably prudent to have this engineering done on the Mayo Creek as well, just because if there is you know, some stimulus funding, engineering being done is the first step in having a sort of shovel-ready project. So I think that's probably money well spent. That one's not highway money, but I'm not sure exactly sure, Jay. Is that road money? Is there grants being applied for that as well, the Mayo Creek?
The Mayo Creek, yeah, so we're kind of working hand in hand with Hillary on that and that NRAB, Natural Resource Advisory Board.
Yep.
We had originally brought this up because of some settling that we saw in the roadway at the causeway where the Pearl is. So we wanted, a study done on the revetment to see if there was some issues with settling or if it needed to be redesigned. And then that kind of tied into the whole restoration process that has already been commenced through Woods Hole Group. So there, there's a roadway component, but there's also a restoration component that's currently being investigated.
Okay. Yeah, okay. All right, well, we can talk about when we get that onto that one. Can we bring the warrant up on the screen, Rebecca?
Yep, give me 1 second.
Okay.
Michael, this is Charlie, and
Yeah,
just I was
Charlie.
going to add while Rebecca's bringing that up. The other thing that Lisa Sauvé will do even over the next 10 days is we'll just take a look at existing appropriations to see if might be some monies available for some of the smaller projects. We won't have that done by Friday, but maybe by the end of next week. So
Okay,
we're going to do that as well. I just wanted to mention that.
okay, thanks. Okay, so, Article
Just tell me
1,
where you need me to go.
3B.
yeah, can we place these operating budget and articles without the budget there, so they're just placed, and then the budget will be available?
I don't see why not. We've got the budget as a separate document, so if you want to look at that, we can certainly do that.
Okay, maybe we should just carry on with what we're doing first, going through the overrides. So yeah, 3B. 3B. Okay, the replacement of 2 police cruisers. I think I'd like to keep those on here. I don't think we have to take a vote. We can kind of see where the board stands here. On,
Yes.
on. Okay, I don't see any opposition. Okay, so
Wait a minute, Mike.
yeah,
So, having been thinking about it this whole time, ever since Harry said, well, maybe just one, and do a second one in the fall if we, do that in the fall. But I would be for the police department choosing which one's the worst off and leaving the other one on. I mean, putting the one that's worst off on.
the only problem with that, Helen, is that last year we took one off.
I know,
And
I know.
the other one failed at the ballot before the town meeting because of the timing. So
I know.
so
You're asking us what we think. I told you. It's
okay. Oh, I'm just
Yeah.
the debate. Does anybody else feel the same way Helen does? It's going to take 3 people to do that.
I think we have to leave them on. I do think that has a higher probability of passing at the ballot if there's only one.
That was part of my point.
I think they should just stay the way they are, personally. If we break them up, I mean, I think the case needs to be made that, we need 2 cruisers. and hopefully people come to town meeting and don't just vote on the ballot. And I think part of the difficulty last year was, these come up to vote, it came up to vote before town meetings. You have people who just are unsure, but may have gone to town meeting and voted the other way. So I don't necessarily think that, they're at risk of being voted down the same way they were last year, having the ballot before town meeting. And we only had one last year and it got voted down. So, straw poll, leave them or remove one.
Remove one. I want the police department to get at least one.
Okay, I see only one person who wants to remove one.
Okay.
Okay, so
Whatever.
on to the next thing. We could break it into 2 articles, but I'd prefer not to do that either.
No,
because it
that-
would reduce the
That
amount of
that would
articles.
just make it messier.
Yeah, that
So
would
we're
make,
keeping both police cruisers, right?
yes, in one article.
All right.
Okay,
Very
fire rescue command car.
Very quickly, Mike, before you go any further.
Yep.
All of these articles have a specific sum in them, and I would prefer it said, for example, in 3B, $100,000 or any other sum, so that if
Yeah,
by town meeting the bid is $103,000, we can amend it without people screaming. And I would make that change throughout the warrant, just for flexibility purposes.
Okay. That's fine with me. Procedurally, is that something that we would have to vote to do?
Well, I think if the board understands that I'm gonna do it and is okay with it, I think we're fine.
Okay.
Well, ultimately, when you sign the warrant, you'll be approving it,
Mhm.
but I just
I
wanted
think-
to ask that question.
I think typically it says that, right, in the warrant.
Yeah, yeah,
because there's some variation and sometimes it could be less.
Yeah.
Usually more. Okay, yeah, that's fine with me. Rest of the board,
Yes.
Fine.
Yes.
good, okay,
thank you.
fine. Okay, the next article here, Rebecca.
Uh,
So the command car can come out of ambulance fund. Is that the command car and what does that say up there in 3?
3C is the command car.
It's just a command car. Okay, fire and rescue command car. Okay, got it. All
Yep.
right.
So that, again, that'll come off the ballot. That'll
Yep.
come off the ballot and free up that question. And it'll just be as part of Appendix B, which has the more traditional capital items.
Sure. Yep.
Okay,
Okay, that's fine.
Thank
And
you.
we can just remove that. We don't have to vote to take it off, right?
Nope.
We paste it.
It'll just show up in the capital budget instead.
Okay, great. Okay, portable radio replacements. We should leave these on here.
yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's the three of us. Emergency response vessel.
Yes.
Replacement.
Leave it.
290,000. This is for one single boat, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. I think it should probably stay on there. When we had talking about emergency response vehicles, this is one of them.
The summary, the dollar amount has to change.
To what?
Well, the summary says the cost of 250,000.
Oh,
and
okay. On the
The-
effective taxes, yeah.
Yeah, the ask is for 290.
Yeah, I think 290 is the correct ask, but I
Well-
don't know if that affects the tax rate and stuff.
Yeah, okay, well, what it's gonna say is the cost would be borrowed. I just take the number out,
Yeah. Okay.
and that's done.
Yep.
Okay. We can scroll down through. All-terrain forklift. This is for DPW, correct?
Marina.
Marina,
Marina. Okay. Will, is this something that that needs to be on this warrant, or can it go till the fall?
This, actually with the help that we received now with the DPW, this could be pushed off. They've been great. They've been helping out a lot down there with their tractor, and it really seems to work out pretty well. So as long as they're willing to continue that in the fall when we have dredging and to take them all out and stuff, that can be easily pushed off.
Okay. That sounds all right with me. Rest of the board, nod if, okay.
So remove the whole article.
Yes.
Move the forklift. 3/4 ton pickup truck and plow. That one's pretty old, correct? And perforated?
Yeah, Mr. Chair, this is Jay. We actually just had the company come in and inspect all of our vehicles, and that currently failed. That truck that we're replacing, so it's gonna be off the road. It's the whole frame's rusted, and it definitely needs to be replaced. So I would vouch to keep that on if we can.
Yeah, and the current truck is a 2003. So
Yeah. Okay, I'm all right with that. Okay,
Can I just say one thing? Yeah, oh, sorry.
yes.
Harry, I get it with very streamlined summaries, but I think that it would be good to add the age of the truck with the summary, just to make it happen.
summary.
It says for a 2003 3/4 ton pickup.
I'm not seeing that.
Okay.
Transfer we're looking at the roll-off truck replacement. Oh, yeah, already scrolled down. Sorry about that. I see it.
Pickup
Got
truck.
it. Got it. Thank you. Sorry.
Thanks, Harry. All right, roll-off truck, we're gonna remove that. Is that right? I forget.
We didn't talk about that yet.
We didn't talk about that. Okay. Oh no, Harry brought that up. That's right. I remember now. What's going on with that, Jay?
So that's we're replacing a 2001 roll-off truck that the DPW actually converted from a waste removal truck. So they put some money into it when they got it. I'm not quite sure the exact date they got it, but the actual chassis and engine is a 2001. The problems with the truck now is that the hydraulic system is leaking. There's a lot of corrosion. There's some braking issues, and the controls and the cab are outdated and glitchy. So we use that truck to haul glass to Dennis. We use it to change recycling containers when they're full at the transfer station. It's a vital component for the Culch program, helping out the shellfish department. So there's some revenue possibilities there. If we can start self-hauling, our own materials and open up the markets and give the town some more flexibility. So I would respectfully request to keep that on the ballot if we can. The current roll-off, we won't have the guys go off Cape with it because it's just not safe. So that's kind of the story in a nutshell.
Okay. I think that sounds like we have to keep it on here personally. I'm not seeing any objection to that from the board. Okay, so we'll move on to the next one. 3K. The guard shack and canopy extension, we can move that.
Yes, you can move that.
Roof replacement, we can move that.
Yep.
Okay. Keller's Corner revetment. I think we can, I don't know. I think we can move that. But
Yeah, we continually maintain that with sand, so we can get through the summer and postpone that to the fall.
Okay. Okay, it'd be good to get some of this stuff into the appropriations free cash if we can in the fall, so that it's not just a million questions then,
Right.
Okay, next article. Mayo Creek revetment and engineering. I would prefer to keep this engineering on there. I think it's probably pretty important to carry this through. It's road work that may wind up having some stimulus funding dedicated towards it. If that does happen, and it's good to have the engineering done. So I don't know, rest of the board feels.
I'm up for keeping it as long as it includes the engineering for a tide gate at that location as recommended by the Mayo Creek Restoration Committee.
I think it does, yeah.
Yeah.
Justina?
Yeah, I would concur. I think in general, if possible, we should try to keep the projects that we can afford that help us stay in funding queues.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay, so keep that revetment in engineering.
I think that's a good idea, Chair. Especially since it's already an established project with Woods Hole Group already looking into it. I think it's good to keep the ball rolling and keep the momentum going.
Yeah, I mean, it's money well spent. We're gonna do the project. We need the engineering done, and if we can get grant money in the meantime while the engineering's done, all the better. Article 30,
Or
Three,
3-0 or
3-0.
3-0.
oh, 3, oh,
Hello.
okay, yeah, that makes sense. Resurface the Mayo basketball court. Now, I went down there the other day, and the surface looks like it's in pretty good shape, better shape than it was when I was younger. I didn't see like a lot of cracks or lifting anywhere. So I guess I'd like to hear from somebody who checks it out that's maybe got a keener eye towards those things than I do, but it looked pretty good to me. I think Ryan and Helen.
Yeah. So I have a question, and I was wondering if maybe Jay, if you could go down there and take a look at it between now and Thursday, and give us your opinion on whether or not it needs to be resurfaced or not.
Yeah, Jay.
Yeah, I've been there through you, Mr. Chair, to Ryan. I have taken a look at it. I haven't had the chance to discuss my findings with Suzanne or Becky. So in respect for that, if I can just talk to them first and see where their head was at with that proposal, because I wasn't ever brought in the loop before they submitted that as a request. So if we can just defer that one until Thursday, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, that's fine with me. I mean, I think it's, we're not
Yeah.
that far away from the fall, so I'm pretty sure it can wait, but I don't mind waiting until Thursday. That's fine. Helen? You're muted, Helen.
Sorry about that. I went down and looked at it too, and it's nice to have a nice smooth surface ideally, but I really think it doesn't have to be on this particular warrant, in my opinion. Thank you. It's not very expensive though, to resurface it.
Well, that's the thing that's the kind of thing that if you can move to fall, you may be able to raise and appropriate the funds without a debt exclusion. So there's no vote at the ballot. And
Exactly.
I'd prefer.
I would leave it off.
I would move it right now if everybody else is willing to. But
Yeah.
I'm the only one who's looked at it. So
Yeah, I mean, Mr. Chair, just quick, just knowing what we're going through with the resurfacing of the tennis courts, just to secure a contractor to do that work, you're not going to be doing that until the spring, probably anyways, because they're so out straight with their schedules. So I don't want to speak for the rec department, but I just wanted to throw that comment out there.
yeah. And part of the issue that we have here is that, a lot of questions makes it less likely that the things that are on there are going to pass,
So yeah, okay, I'm up for leaving it off.
Yeah, I would like to leave it off just till the fall. I did go look at it. I feel comfortable leaving it off, but if you guys want to wait. Is there 3 votes to leave it off?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
all right, so we'll take that off till the fall, defer it. Okay. Baseball backstops, I think those have to happen. I went down to Bakersfield. That thing is like a tetanus, like just like, it just looks like tetanus.
Yeah, I think they're from when I was a kid. So
Yeah, oh, definitely. I mean, it looks like like the Walking Dead. Like it's been in.
Oh, God, Mike.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Well,
Like,
let's leave it
okay.
on and move on.
Yeah, move on. Okay, 3Q. Marina Bandstand awning.
So this, I would suggest we could defer. I know Becky last time gave a very good reason why we shouldn't, but I guess it's very rusty. But we actually don't, in the summertime, necessarily need the awning up, and I don't know how frequently it's used. So my vote would be to defer this to the fall.
yeah, agree.
Also, it wouldn't get replaced before this summer anyways,
Yeah. Okay.
I don't believe. So, yeah, let's defer that. It's not much money, but be better to we'll have a better idea of what we have in free cash by then. So, town hall shelving, I don't think that should be a debt exclusion or
Yeah,
override.
you shouldn't be borrowing for this.
No.
no,
Can we move this off here?
We gotta be able to find $11,000 somewhere. for
Yeah.
this.
Okay. Good.
that and the microfilming. I
Yeah,
mean,
I agree.
Yeah,
not even $6,000. It should be
Get those-
operating expense.
let's get those
Yeah,
off there.
I've looked at both of these as candidates to move into the capital budget and find some way to fund them without an override, or without borrowing.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah, so let's see.
Okay, so next,
Athlete? Or moving beyond that.
okay, 3U has got no effect on the budget.
No, well, except for maybe revenue.
Yeah, but it won't affect this budget.
No. Yeah, we don't have to deal with that.
And that's, yeah, there's no override question associated with it.
Okay, so engineering,
Yeah,
Main Street, we're gonna keep that on there, correct?
three,
Well,
Well, we have to place it.
yep,
Okay, we haven't placed that one.
No,
nope,
Mm-mm.
nope.
I move to place the Main Street Route 6 engineering design on the 2021 town meeting warrant.
Helen,
Sec-
second?
A roll call vote.
Janet, I.
Ryan,
Aye.
Michael, I.
Helen, I.
I move to recommend Main Street Route 6 engineering design.
Helen, second.
Roll call vote.
Janet, I.
Christina, aye.
Ryan, I.
Michael, I.
Helen, I.
Okay, motion carries 5-0. Marina enterprise budget is done. Water
Water.
enterprise budget, do we have any headway on that?
My understanding is that the water enterprise budget needs about $84,000 in the general fund to balance. Let me see if I can find the number for you. $84,214 is what I understand has got to be raised and appropriated to fund that. I can show you the budget if you want to see it.
Yeah, maybe we're at that point now because we're moving through these. Why don't we do that? And then maybe we can go back and approve and place the first 2 articles. And we can withhold our recommendation. on the operating budget and the other ones until town meeting, or because we don't have the documents flushed out yet, you know?
Mhm.
Or we could withhold until Thursday, I guess, but.
Okay. So, Rebecca, you can either find the Marine Enterprise budget will be the Appendix D budget. I've got it, but it's also in that Dropbox. So either I can pop it up or you can, whichever is easier.
Yep, give me 1 second.
Okay.
I don't have Appendix D in the Dropbox.
Oh. Okay.
I have budget analysis, BA, debt services analysis. Yeah, I don't have D in here.
Oh, really? Okay.
Hmm.
Um,
You can share it if you want. I gave you the ability to.
okay, let's see here. Open. So it's the water enterprise budget. Okay, so if I can share my screen now.
Yep, you should be able to.
Oh, God, I'm sorry. I have to.
The little green button at the bottom of the
No,
screen.
that's not the issue. It's
Oh.
my Mac is shouting at me because I've never shared a screen with my Mac before.
Don't we have to fund this? I mean, is there really much of a choice?
Um,
No, not really. I mean, we do have to appropriate it.
Okay, unlock. Okay, now let's see if I can figure out how. Oh, it's gonna force me to leave the meeting to do this.
Oh,
Okay,
all right.
I'm sorry.
You want to just email it to Rebecca? If we have to come back to it, we can.
Yeah, why don't you guys keep going and I will see if I can address this
Okay, can you
issue.
put the warrant back up? What number were we on?
We
34, 35?
No, we were on Article 5, but you were talking about placing the operating budget, which is Article 1.
Yeah, but if we can't see the budgets, then we should just.
Yeah.
We can.
Rebecca, it should be, it's in the Dropbox. It's 2021 ATM Appendix D water. I think you're probably stuck in older versions. You want to go back to current versions?
Yep, I found it. Hang on 1 second.
Okay, great. Okay, we're back.
I hate my life right now.
Well, as far as the water prize, enterprise budget, we can place it and just not recommend it.
Yeah, I think you've seen this budget before, but
Yeah, we probably have. I move to place, the FY 2022 water enterprise budget.
Yeah, it won't let me open it.
well, sorry.
Yeah, we have seen this before. I don't think they've changed it, have they?
No, it's not changed. It shows the same
Yeah,
FY
Okay.
22 estimates. It just shows that $84,214 needed to balance, which would come in a raise and appropriate.
yeah,
Okay,
we would be ready to place it.
moved and seconded, a roll call vote.
Janet, I.
Christina, I.
Ryan, I.
Michael, I. Motion
Helen,
carries.
I.
Oh, Helen, sorry.
Helen, I.
I hear you. Okay, motion carries 5-0. Police union contract, we placed that, correct?
Yes.
And recommend.
Point of
No, we
order,
can't
could
rec-
whoever, I'm sorry, whoever has a background that's noisy, could we not have that, please? I don't know who it is.
Okay. Okay, union, we did that. Non-union personnel and salaries, we've done that.
So these are saying reserves recommendations. Do we just want to recommend them now?
There's no contract finalized.
Yeah, that's why we didn't recommend.
So we can't.
Yeah, we
For
can
all of
recommend the
these?
town meeting
Okay.
floor. Fire department positions, we recommended and placed.
Article 11, it looks like Harry had a question on it.
Let's see.
So, will this be a transfer within the PD budget or an override item?
Yeah, I was sort of under the impression that this was being funded out of a reduction in the special officers or summer officers budget, so it was a wash. Maybe Chief Hurley can speak to this, but if it's just reallocating salary items within the police department budget, I don't see why you need an article at all.
Thanks, thanks, Harry. Yes, this will be from existing police department operating salary and wage.
Okay, so it's funding that's appropriated in the budget already.
Yes.
Yeah,
Helen, go ahead.
yeah, remember, I asked the question, of Mike, Chief Hurley, hey, is this a whole new position? And you explained that it wasn't, right? That time?
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, 700 meetings ago. Thank you.
Okay, so we can remove this off the warrant then?
Yep.
Okay. Wastewater, 95 Lawrence Road mitigation, that's staying on.
I'd like to take a vote on recommending.
Yeah, did we place it? We did, right?
Yeah, we placed it.
Okay, yeah, so let's recommend. Move,
I move to recommend wastewater mitigation, 95 Lawrence Road Cluster Wastewater Treatment Facility.
Helen, second.
roll call vote.
Janet, I.
I.
Ryan, I.
Michael, I.
Helen, I.
Motion carries 5-0. Okay. Next article. Community preservation. Done that.
Did we recommend all of those?
Yes.
I think so, yeah.
Well, I'm looking. Chapter 90, let's recommend it.
That's already voted too.
4-0, we recommended.
No, it just says we voted to place it.
No.
I don't see recommend here.
It doesn't. say
You
that.
recommended it. I'll put it in there, but you did recommend it.
Okay, thank you.
Rebecca, I'm putting these in as we go, so.
Did we place Article 28?
Article 28 was the OPEB.
Yes,
That was just a placeholder. I don't see any realistic way you're gonna fund that at the annual town meeting.
okay,
I took it out.
so let's strike that then.
I mean, you never placed it, so it's just gone.
Okay.
Okay. 29.
It looks like we didn't take a vote to recommend it.
Yeah, we didn't.
So I move to recommend public education and government PG access and cable related fund.
Helen second.
Roll call vote.
Janet, I.
Christina, I.
Ryan, I.
Michael, I.
Helen, I.
Okay, motion carries 5-0.
Okay.
Property sale tax transfer. So that I was hoping to deal with tonight. That's kind of a longer discussion. Do you guys, would the board prefer to just continue rolling through and then come back to this?
No,
Or do you
let's
have
do it
a
in order.
discussion
We're
point?
here.
Yes.
I don't have the text for that.
Ryan, can you?
I've sent it. I can put it up too. So Rebecca, if you let me share the, or I think I've actually sent it to you as well. I can't raise my hand when I share the screen.
I see your hand raised right now.
Yep. Well, right now it is. So,
Okay,
but if I'm sharing the screen, I can't.
so should we just have this conversation now?
Well, yeah, don't we all kind of know about it already? And it's just a matter of voting on the percentage.
That's it.
So I move that we vote 6%, increase it.
Oh, not this.
Oh, no.
Nope,
That's the, we already did that one. This is the real estate transfer tax, which is what percent on what amount of money. I'm kind of inclined to keep going through the warrant. You want to do this now?
I
Okay,
really want to do it now.
yeah, let's do, yeah.
all right.
It's a big deal and we need to
Oh,
give it its
all
due.
right. You got it up, Rebecca. All right, thank you.
So
So,
Ryan, do you want to just bring, because Janet missed this meeting when we discussed this.
Yeah,
So
I know about it. We can just kind of make a motion and whatever you want to do. This is,
So-
well, we kind of came to a deadlock last time, so
right.
I just want to, there was 4 of us, we had a lengthy discussion, and Ryan, why don't you just give us a,
So I made a couple changes after that discussion. One is, I wish I had numbered these pages.
Please scroll.
So it's on, I think it's on the 4th page. So the exclusion, this is an exclusion, and for B is new, where this is basically properties that qualify for the residential exemption. So this is on primary residences. And that would be excluded. And then I added that exemption shall not apply to properties with sale price above $2 million, because at that point it's, plenty of money.
yeah. Okay, so this would exempt all primary residences.
Yes.
Wait a minute.
Is that legal?
Really?
Well,
So wait,
So-
I want to start, what do you mean? A transfer tax is the same as an excise tax on a real estate sale, right? Is that what we're talking about? I can't scroll up and down.
Sort of it's different. It's an extra tax.
It's an extra tax, right? And at present, I believe there's a 2%, there's already an excise tax of 2% on all real estate sales. You're asking either an additional 2% or 4% on sales over the median price of a home.
none of them went up to 4%. So,
So what do you
all
want?
right.
Well,
So,
that's. what
so can we go back up to the top of the article and we'll walk Janet through it, if that helps?
If you've redone this, I haven't seen it. Purchaser. Yep,
So it's a home rule petition.
right.
Um,
I got it. Keep scrolling, Rebecca. Okay, so stop purchase price considered. Behalf of the purchaser. Yep, so scroll a little more, Rebecca, please. Okay. So what are the questions that you guys had?
so we're getting to them.
Are the
So
difficulty?
these are all definitions, but
Mhm.
So I think what Janet needs to know probably is the percentage that we're asking for, the basis, the cost basis of that, and then and so on this document, you've added language that it would exclude primary residences or resident.
yeah, so I
So wait, okay, so this is where I want to interrupt you, Ryan. Why would it exclude primary residences when most of the residences are primary residences? So you're saying
no,
the only
no,
tax,
Janet.
okay,
And so these are the ones that qualify for the residential tax exemption.
okay,
Which is not the majority of the houses within the town of Wellfleet. These
all
are,
right, okay,
you
sorry.
know, like they're
I have to go
domiciled.
read 3 different versions of this. All right, so this is for the residential tax exemption only, not the transfer tax.
No, this is for the transfer tax. So if they're able to claim the resident as the residence as their primary,
Right,
primary homestead, let's say, that the value of that house it is not subject to the transfer fee
at all?
at all, unless the price is above 2 million.
Why? I mean,
Well, I'll tell you why this probably came up, because when this came up last time, my concern was that I sort of view this as a luxury tax, the transfer tax, because it's quite expensive to sell a property. What I didn't want is to have people whose only real retirement or asset that they own is their home, paying this additional tax, when often people sell a property either to go to maybe a nursing home or to buy a property in another state if it's their primary residence. So essentially, I was concerned about tying the median home price up and then adding the additional tax on top of people who, and people also sometimes who are maybe holding a large mortgage. Like if young people are buying a house right now and they somehow can get the loan together to purchase a house, sometimes you have a $500,000 mortgage or more on that house. When you sell that property, you might be up over the median price, but by the time you pay your mortgage off, pay your realtor fees, and excise tax, it can be quite expensive to sell a house. And so my concern was adding a tax to people whose basically only asset that they have is that one home, and I don't want to tax them.
so we've talked about this for at least 6 years with the Housing Authority. I'll make a broad statement and no argument, but anyone who owns property in Wellfleet as of today and has had it more than 2 years, their home value has probably doubled. So you bought a house, you have a house from 50 years ago that was appraised at 300,000. This year it's 600,000. The median home price, I believe, as of this year, has already gone up from 500,000 to 600,000. So you're not going to pay any tax on anything under 600,000. So I look at this as like an emergency epidemic tax that we have to impose. If you have a $2 million house and you deduct a $600,000 value of what you take off the 600,000 as the median price, on $2 million, you're only going to pay, oh, no, I just forgot, 2 million. For a 2% tax, you're going to pay $10,000, $20,000 at the
Yeah,
most.
so there's an additional part about a value exclusion as well.
And we see
Isn't that the
that.
median- Isn't that the median price?
Yeah, the median price, the value under the median price is not subject to the transfer fee. The
Right, so-
value, the
So you
value.
take
over
off
the median.
600,000, which is what the median price
Yep.
is this year.
Well, so there's,
And then you, yeah.
yeah,
Okay, so I don't have the exact things, but my point is that the 2% or 4% on a very expensive home is a lot of money that would go really far with, especially if it's designated for affordable housing. And everybody's value has doubled, if not tripled or quadrupled in the last 5 to 10 years. And I really think that putting a $2 million price, I don't know. This is, did you just throw this in here, Ryan? Because I didn't see this before.
no, well, this is fairly new, and this is only for primary residences. This is not.
If you're a domiciled resident who qualifies for
All
the
right.
property tax.
So give me
deduction,
some
then you
bullet
would be
points. Okay,
Excluded if you would be excluded from the transfer tax if you're a domiciled resident of the town of Wellfleet that qualifies for a residential tax exemption also.
so you're saying that if you're domiciled here, you don't have to pay any residential tax exemption. You don't have to pay any transfer tax.
Below to the 2 million. That's what the new thing says.
Yeah, I don't know. That's way too high.
Mike,
Helen and Justina both have their hands up. Sorry.
Justina, you can go first. I'm fine with that.
Well,
If-
I think that Ryan's made an interesting point. I don't think that the housing crisis in Wellfleet is caused by domiciled residents. We are experiencing, as pre-COVID and then COVID accelerated that, a dynamic, as many markets are across the country, where we're seen as desirable and we're within commuting distance and driving distance of some of the most affluent markets in the country, New York, Boston, and so forth. So we are competing, our local people are competing with some of the best compensated and most affluent people in the nation. So I think there is a certain equity in segmenting out domiciled residents versus people whose primary residence isn't here. And I think if we don't start recognizing this dynamic in our policy, we're just simply not aligning ourselves with market reality. And we
So-
have a housing crisis because our local incomes cannot compete.
So I'm not against,
Yeah, so I'm just
thinking of
endorsing,
domiciled
I'm
residents.
endorsing the philosophy that Ryan has put into the protection for domiciled residents with the residential exemption here for the excise tax, to sum it up, sorry.
Well,
Okay,
I
Mike,
just kinda
I'm
wanna-
sorry, Janet. I've had my hand up for a
Yeah,
long time.
I just want to say, because this is kind of the thing that I didn't get. I don't have a problem with a domicile exemption. I'm just saying 2 million is houses over 2 million. Yes, they're getting more and more common every year, but that's still a very high price. I would like to see it at 1 million. Yeah. I mean, raise your hand if
for
you have a
1
house
million.
worth over $1 million.
Helen, your hand's up. Go ahead.
Yes, it's been up. Thank you. So building on our lengthy discussion when Janet wasn't here, which is, by the way, Janet Way, I said I missed you when you came
Yeah,
back.
yeah, yeah, I know. Go ahead.
Yep. So here's the thing. I thought about it some more, Ryan. I'd like to put a fact out there. There are a lot of people who are claiming residency now that didn't do it last year even. And remember, it's 184 days, they can do it. They may have a home somewhere else, but they may claim residency here. We don't know. So while I really support people who want to live here year round and who have less money, and you know I do, I am still where I was after our lengthy and very good discussion before. I'm at, Janet, I'm going to agree with you, 2 million is too high. I look at the real estate, what do you call it, notices in the paper all the time. The very highest I would go would be 1.5, but I think after 1 million, there should be something. And the real thing that I think we should be discussing is what percentage. So should it be 0.5?
So I
We
would
were
say that-
discussing those low percentages and a lower, if you want, cost basis, or I call it a threshold. So what I'm saying is right now, I would say 0.5, or at the very least 0.2, but that it would kick in at 1 million. That's what I think now. Thank you.
I mean, if we're gonna bring Janet up to speed, we have to talk about the exemptions before we get into talking about a percentage.
Okay, so okay, let's structure the conversation then.
Do the
so
bullet points.
I'm not in favor of an exemption. I'd rather put it on the dollar figure and view this as luxury tax. That's kind of how I see it. I think we should have a transfer tax, but I think it should probably be 1% on the buyer, 1% on the seller for properties like over $1 million or something like that, across the board. I think at that point, I guess the median might move up to that point, but I don't know. I'm not sure we can't change it in the future if they do allow this. So I'm not for having an exemption because I think there's an incentive there to sort of domicile on paper to transfer your property without paying a transfer tax if it's up over $2 million particularly. So I think it's a good idea on paper, but I think logistically it might have problems. We might have problems with, at a threshold that high, there's a incentive to sort of domicile before you sell your house.
So let's go over all the bullet points and see what we agree on. Okay, that to me, since I can't see this whole
Okay.
thing on the screen.
We
Yeah.
all agree that we should put a transfer tax on. Does everybody agree at a price threshold? First of all, let's go to the exemption. How does the board feel about the exemption for domiciled residents? Should we have an exemption?
I'm fine with removing it. I put it in here
Yeah,
to
let's remove it.
try to do a compromise with you.
Yeah, I understand. I mean, I think it's a good idea. I just, I'm a little concerned. I mean, I think if you had it at 1 million, I think then that differential would sort of change, but I'm a little more concerned about hitting people that are below that sort of luxury sale price with an extra tax.
Why do you want to not have the exemption, Mike?
Huh?
Why do you want to not have exemption?
Because I think that there's enough incentive for people to claim their domicile here in
Too
order
much cheating.
to not pay a property transfer tax on
Yeah.
$2 million.
Abusive system.
Yep.
Well, not necessarily, but
Hmm.
it's not abuse of the system, but on $2 million home, like if you are like, well, I'll just spend the winter in Wellfleet and then there's some incentive.
Yeah.
If you capped it at a lower threshold, like around 1 million, I don't think that incentive exists anymore. So then I would be all right with it. So But I think it complicates the issue too. Like, you have to prove that you're the domicile. You know, there's already an incentive to kind of domicile to avoid the property tax, but it's not that much money, so I don't think people generally do that.
Oh, they do.
Or they're living here.
Well, I just,
Everybody cheats, okay? Everybody always cheats a little bit. It's a known fact. So let's just kind of work on the details and vote, take a consensus on how we feel about each one.
Yep, that's fine. So then we have to talk about the value exemption, which is further down.
Most towns are
may
doing a
we
1 million.
point of order, can we look at this, please?
Yep.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you. Sorry to interrupt, but it's really, let's look at the language. I'm familiar with it. I read it when Ryan sent it again, but let's all look at it, please.
Okay. What are we looking at?
So, yeah, Rebecca, can you scroll up and then down and get to where we're
Oh,
talking? about
down, it's
Down.
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 So,
the
The
fee
2%.
option?
oh, those are the fees, but let's talk about the exemptions first,
And you're talking
because,
about residential exemption.
so I think the consensus is to nix that. So,
Yeah,
but
You know,
there's
yeah.
the value exclusions further down.
Okay.
We start on H1.
And we're talking about a 2% split, 1% to the buyer, 1% to the seller on the transfer tax.
So this is why we need to decide on the value exclusion options first.
I agree.
Because that might
Let's scroll
influence.
down a little bit,
Yeah.
Rebecca.
It's a little ways down. So these. So H1 and H2.
Okay.
So
The assessor would have to assess the value, the median
Okay, all right.
single-family assessed value as assessed by the assessor.
yes, that's an official figure. This is where every year, you have the assessor's report, you have it now. That has the median home value in the town of Wellfleet.
Okay,
So for this, so right now it's $551,300. It's based off of the sale prices for the homes. So next year is probably going to go up by over 20%. For the median home value in the town of Wellfleet. According to Realtors Association, the increase in the median home sale price in the town of Wellfleet from last year to this year has increased by 27%.
Okay, so, so the choice is, do we want to allow people who live here year round to take the median? I think you have to take the median exemption. When I looked at this, the state requires that there's a median price exemption.
Oh,
yeah, I think,
Mr. Jakanian, do you know if that's true?
no,
Say that again.
So when you're doing your transfer tax evaluation, I think you have to, the state requires an exemption of the median value of a house in the town.
no.
That doesn't sound familiar.
Okay, all right, good.
I think we can,
Mike?
most towns set it at $1 million that have done it.
Not
but
us,
I don't mind setting it at some percentage above the median.
Mike?
Yep,
Yeah, it's Helen. I just remembered what I arrived at before in the last meeting about this. And one of the things I said was, this is going to the legislature. Let's hope it,
Right,
works. This is not like even a general bylaw where we could change it at the next town meeting. So I remember after thinking it should be $1 million, I think it should be based on this fluctuating amount, because in 2 minutes, a million, we're going to be over a million, for median price, maybe not. So it should be based on that fluctuating amount, because it could also go down. See, so it should refer to that in whatever way is the most legally efficient. And then we decide on the percentage.
So what I had brought up before was to just apply this on properties that all value above that, all properties that sold for 40% above the median, which would be around 750,000 right now, or something like that. Every dollar after that would go to transfer tax at 2%. But what we had before, the last time we discussed this, was 1% on everything above the median. So I felt like the 40% of the above the median was a compromise because it can float up, but it's halfway between the 500,000 and the million right now, I don't know what that gets us in revenue, but I think that sort of goes into that sort of luxury tax type situation, where you start paying on that. But I don't know, Ryan, you got a hand up?
So with the expected increase in the median home value for next year, 40% above the median basically puts it at $1 million. So, and the median value, that's the value where half the houses have sold for less than that, and half the houses have sold for more than that.
Right.
So there's still a significant number of home sales that are not subject to this transfer fee whatsoever. And then it basically the proposal is that, any dollar amount above the median, that then they would be subject to the transfer fee on that. So if it's, a $600,000 house and the median home value is 550, you're only talking about $50,000 that's subject to this transfer fee. I did add that this exemption shall not apply to properties with a sale price above $2 million, because at that point, those properties are really high value properties, and we shouldn't be excluding the value, in my opinion, on those properties. But
So that would be 1% of the total, 2% of the total 2 million.
I mean, we haven't talked about the percentage tax yet. We kind of got stuck on the value, the exclusion value.
So let's vote on the exclusion and get past that.
Yep.
So I agree, for the sake of simplicity or moving forward, I would agree at least on the median price, because it does fluctuate year to year, as an exclusion. If you want to add 100,000 to that, that's fine with me. But let's take a straw poll vote on whether we want an exclusion.
I think we're pretty clear that we wanted an exclusion.
Okay, so
Yeah.
what price do we want the exclusion at? I would say the median sale price of a home for that year.
I agree.
The median.
Yeah, and then,
Okay, keep it at median. Let's just do one at a time. Let's
Yeah.
go median. Okay, who else wants median or wants it raised?
I would want it higher than that if we don't have
Okay.
a domicile exemption. I just think that there's people in there that will impact on that
Okay,
tax, that's their only asset in life.
so we'll go back. How many people want the domicile exemption? I
No.
would go for that.
No.
No?
Janet,
Yeah,
Mike, if I may,
Yes,
no exemption. However, I would be willing to say the median plus X percent. In other words, 40%,
Okay, yeah,
30% over. Okay, so the whole thing is sliding. In other words, I
What
would go, let's make a deal. I would go with a median plus 30%. And
That's,
have that be the threshold.
I mean, that you're still getting basically at $1 million within the next 3 years.
Yes.
But
Say
most
that
people
again,
still
Ryan,
get-
I didn't quite hear you.
You're basically getting to $1 million exemption within the next 3 years.
That's not necessarily true, because there's such low inventory right now that, you know, if there's a bunch of stuff that sell under that median price in the future, then it can drag that price back down. I mean, the assumption that we are going somewhere is an assumption. I don't know that it's true. I'm sure it's gonna go up generally, but I
It
don't,
might go down
it could go down.
eventually.
Because if half the houses on the market sell lower. So I'm willing to be outnumbered on this, but I would be willing to go, why don't we just, are you guys okay with 25% above the median house price?
Okay, deal.
Uh,
I'm not sure
But
why we have,
2%.
I don't know why we would have, I don't know.
Well, what is, let's do an exercise. What's the
Because no matter
median?
what, you're
The
still
median,
buying.
the
Wait, let
median
me
is
just
five hundred
take,
and fifty
can we
thousand.
walk through this for a second?
Christina,
Can
go
we
ahead.
take the median home price and look at the transfer tax on that?
0 right now, as proposed. It would be 0.
All
You
right,
mean-
so why, all right, all right, on 6 and 700,000, what's the transfer tax on that?
For 600,000 for this current fiscal year, it'd be $50,000 that would be subject to the transfer fee.
And so what would the transfer fee be?
We haven't decided on the percentage yet.
On 2%, on 2%?
On 2%, it would be $1,000.
And on, yeah, so we're talking, Mike, I know what you're saying about things, but we're talking about, at 2%, we're talking about such very small amounts of money that I don't buy it, that the person's gonna be that impacted by it. When you close a property, when you sell it and pay the real estate agent and so forth, we're talking about very small amounts of money here.
Well, in that scenario, it's a small amount of money, but if you already have, if you're not walking with a lot of money, you're still taking $1,000 out of somebody's pocket who's selling, you know, just above the median at that moment. And to me, I think that there is, like, there's so many other costs associated. We're still adding an additional tax onto people who are selling a property that, you know, to me, I think should not be, the people who are selling just above the median, or even if you are having some proceeds to your property, that
Right, since you couldn't live with the residential exemption, which is to me the philosophically cleanest way to address your concern, what do you suggest?
well, I'm not suggesting that, like, if people have, you know, $1.5 million, they should pay a transfer tax.
What do you
It's about
suggest
the number.
what do you suggest to address, would be right policy for your concern about people whose only asset is being sold? What do you want us to do here?
Well, I would just say that, you know, when it comes to the dollar amount, that if we put it at 25% above the median, there'd be a lot of properties that didn't get counted, but it would still include all those properties that sell for well over $1 million. And that full amount up to the median, up to the 25% above median would get taxed. We'd still be.
No, not as it's written. It would be the value, only the value over
Yeah,
getting taxed. It's
No, no,
not the entirety of the value of the house, of the
no,
property.
I know that. That's what I meant to say if I said something
So
different.
Ryan, what do you think of Mike's proposal?
I think it's, yeah, no. I mean, the median sale price has gone up by 27% since last year. You know, if we have a 2% on the value over the median home price, you know, you're talking about less than 1% most commonly for the total value of the home being sold. So this proposed fee basically is more than compensated by the increase in the home value, in the price in the home values in the last year.
Well,
By
I certainly
10
be outvoted. That's fine with me.
Yeah,
You know, we don't
10
have to
times,
agree.
20 times over, so.
Yeah, okay, well, let's just call a question then. I mean, or is there a number that we can live with? I'm hesitant to levy an additional cost onto anyone selling just above above the median, but below.
So, I mean, if this is your concern, I mean, this goes back to what Justina just said, then have a domiciled resident exemption.
Okay, I'm fine with
All right.
that. Can we move that
No.
down, the total value of 2 million down on that then? And then I would be fine with it, I guess.
So what do you want the residential tax exemption to be? It should be the median home price, or whatever,
Yes,
the median home price.
Yep. and
Okay,
we can bring back the domiciled exemption and we can say it $1 million cutoff.
why $1 million cutoff?
For the domiciled, so if somebody sells a house for over $1 million, even if it's a domiciled resident, that property would be subject to the transfer fee. So this is further back up, so.
I would prefer to just set the rate at $1 million and walk away like every other municipality, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
that doesn't fit Wellfleet very well, and
Yeah, that's crazy. Sorry,
Hello,
Michael.
Mike, I've got my hand up.
Yeah.
That doesn't apply here. I'm agreeing with Janet and Ryan.
I mean, so my point is that anyone who's owned a home here for more than 2 years, because this is when this all started happening. I know people, plenty of people, they bought a house for $300,000. They fixed it up, painted it, repaired it, and that house can sell for $600,000 easily within weeks today. So everybody who's on any property in Wellfleet has already made a huge profit if they sell recently, not over $1 million, you know.
All right, well, for the sake of moving on this, because I feel like I'm outnumbered and I am the
Okay.
chair, that's fine, but I'm not any more important than anyone else on this board. So I would like to, I'm at a loss right now as to where the board stands on this, but it sounds like everybody thinks it should be tied to the median.
Okay,
If that's the question, then, you know, that's the question.
so who likes median income, median value, home value? Wiggle your fingers.
Median plus 25%.
Who wants median? Just to go median with domiciled residents? With, you know, no?
I
Okay,
mean, I want median. I mean, 125% is just. I mean, you're talking significant value within the next couple of years, like really high values.
Mhm.
let's keep to the present moment. What do you mean 125%?
Of median.
That's what Helen just said.
Oh,
So why, if you guys think the median's really gonna go up to $1 million in the next year?
no, it's not. Not in the next year.
It's not, but if you do a value over the median, then you quickly get up there very quickly.
Okay, I'll just do straight median. That's fine. No percentage over.
Can we take the 1% off the buyer then? Because people who are trying to enter this market are,
No,
No, you got to have it split between buyer and seller. That's kind of, I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah, all right.
I agree with that. So that's the second point. Let's see who agrees with that. Buyer
I
and seller?
completely lose track of who's proposing what.
so
Well,
what are we on? Are we on median? Is that the
So
consensus?
we all agree to median?
Yes.
I don't, but.
You
Median
know, we can
what?
always change it. We can always change it. So let's start with median, okay? And think about it.
So last time we were here, we had median house and 1%. That's what we had. So
We hadn't really discussed the percentage,
okay,
so.
May we please do buyer and seller? Just decide on
So-
that. That's easy.
So
It's-
Rebecca, if you want to scroll up,
Buyer and seller?
percentages, yes, buyer and seller.
Okay. Do we all agree on that?
Yes, I think that's the norm.
I want to return to median. Mike, does that address your concerns?
No, I think it
No,
should
it
be above
doesn't.
the median. I think it should be, I think it should be above the median. To me, it
I
just. feels off-
I don't endorse an option that doesn't address Mike's concerns about the person who's selling their primary asset. One way or
So,
another, that has
I
to
mean,
be
I
covered.
proposed the fix for that, and
What, the exemption, the residential exemption?
yes,
And where do we stand on that? Does the board want to do residential exemption?
If we're doing a median house, then yes.
Well,
Yeah.
I think we should vote on residential exemption. There's pros and cons on it. I think we should decide what we think on that one.
All right, so to clarify, for residential exemption, if you're a proven year-round, a proven resident of more than 1 year, you don't have to pay, you don't have to bother with the exemption.
The federal
Well, you
rules are 3 years.
Okay. All right,
The
so you have to be a resident
federally,
for
if you want
3
to
years.
sell your house and take it from investment to residential, for example, they make you prove 3 years.
Okay, wish Nancy Vale was here. Okay. So if you have that residential exemption, you get to take, as of today, $551,000. You get to deduct that from your selling costs.
this would be, as it is right now with what's in front of you, that would be for all this, everyone, not excluding. It's not limited to just residential exemptions. The residential exemption is further up on the,
Is there any other municipality that's requested a median home price for
The state requests
transfer
it.
tax? Because it still comes back to me the amount of money that it costs to transfer a property. And then this is on top of that. And so,
I mean, again, I just keep saying that, the median sale price has gone up by 27% from last year to this year.
That's
but somebody
incredible.
still has to buy in the median, the median's it's an inflationary thing. Like somebody still has to buy and sell these properties.
Okay, Rebecca, can you please scroll up, or I don't know, because we're back talking about the
Yeah.
exemption. So B, taxpayers approved by the town for exemption of residential real property to section 5C of chapter 59, yada, yada, yada. So do we want that or not? Because we said no, and now it sounds like maybe, I don't know.
No, we don't want sale price
philosophically,
above 2
Yeah,
million.
I mean, you can change that. I mean,
Okay.
I don't want that for reasons I stated right at the beginning. Guys, what we know for sure is that the people who need housing around here the most can't even buy a house, even if they're working very hard. Maybe they get a mortgage.
Okay,
Hey, you've got to have an income to get a mortgage. We could never get a mortgage. We didn't have salaries. So where I'm going with this is, what's sure is this money will go towards helping the people that really don't have money in this situation, not the people who working hard, middle-class people who can afford to get a mortgage and get a house. And Mike, I hear your concerns because it's important to be able to afford a house here. But the people I'm really worried about can't even think of that.
right.
And it's rental and it's, figuring stuff out in ways that a middle-class person can't. So I think the real key thing here, and I like it when, Janet or Justina is saying, okay, if it's this much money, how much money then would be, able to be skimmed off to put into addressing the needs of those people who don't have enough money here, no
okay.
matter how hard they
So,
work.
so then,
All right, but we're
If we're
talking
not
about the
doing-
residential exemption.
yeah, if we're
here.
not doing the residential exemption, then can we please scroll up to the actual,
Could we just either have a straw vote on whether we want to do the residential exemption or not? and as I see it, it's the cleanest philosophical way to address the problems I said, that local people can't compete with people who are being paid in the
Yeah.
country's most affluent markets and driving up the home prices.
Um,
And I also think there's significant problems could happen with abuse of the system. So I'd be curious what my fellow board members think and do a straw vote on whether we want to pursue the residential exemption real quick.
All right, I'll do a residential exemption.
Mike?
If
Just
it's,
Um,
yes or
the
no.
people who have domicile status are already getting, if they want it, tax exemptions. They're already getting
Ellen,
on their taxes. an
Ellen, that's
exemption.
irrelevant to this.
Different thing.
Excuse me, I know it's a different thing, but what I'm saying is,
point of order,
why
Helen,
should
we're
they
just doing a
also
straw
get
vote.
this benefit, given that it can be gained? So I'm against the exemption.
It's
Thank
not
you.
a benefit. This is a new tax that we're levying on people.
Yes, I know that.
Who it's gonna be levied on. And people who are buying, a house here have to pay the tax, and then the sellers have to pay the tax. And I think it just addresses the concern. If it's gonna be at a median, then I would be in support of this exemption.
Okay. So who
And
kind of
Ryan, are
likes
you
the idea of
for or
median?
against it?
Hmm?
I
Ryan,
mean,
how do you feel about it?
so, I mean, this is basically what I've offered to kind of address some of Mike's concerns from last meeting, is to kind of create this, which this is also included in Boston's proposed proposed fee as well, with the same language, except for, I mean, so I'm inclined to support creating an exemption for primary residents. And then, I don't know, $2 million is just basically a placeholder. So if it's people want it lower, we can put it lower. So
Above.
Ryan, you said
median.
Boston is treating
Okay,
it this way?
so let's start with having a residential tax exemption. How many people are in favor of that?
That's what we just did, Janet.
yes,
I thought we were discussing it again.
so
We'll
I'm
just
in
straw
favor of
vote.
it.
I'm in
Oh.
favor of it.
All right. Then that's fine.
Okay,
I'm in
good.
favor if, especially if Boston does it.
Okay, you've got the vote, but
Okay,
now let's look at apply to properties. Let's have it be above the median.
No,
Yeah.
because
That's the whole point.
I mean, that's
Million.
meaningless. So,
I don't see its median.
no, it just adds additional language where the value is 0. Because only the property value above the median is being subject to the tax. If you just say the median, then the value subject to it is already 0. So you're just saying the same thing twice.
so do we want, what do we
get
want to say? Do we want to say, homes sold for over
40%.
25% of median, this will apply to, or what's that percentage we want? Not 2 million.
40% above the median?
I'm okay with that. So at this
Or-
point,
Yeah.
So wait, so you're gonna say that there's only gonna be a tax. So right now, the median is 551,000. And then plus 40% would be houses over $771,000.
If you're a domiciled resident.
if you're a domicile.
Oh, if you're a domiciled resident. Oh, so that I didn't know got into play there.
That's that. So
What if you're not a domiciled resident?
then you
median.
pay above the median.
That's above the median. Okay, all right. So I'm sorry, I'm talking about different things.
Okay.
All right, I would go with 25%. What did Helen suggest?
Helen suggested not doing it at all.
Let's-
Because a lot of people aren't actually year-round residents and they claim it.
Yeah,
Okay,
I just think we need money for housing, we need
Yeah.
a lot of money for housing.
which is why I don't want that exemption.
Yeah,
I want it tied into whatever, I don't want that to have to be certified. I don't want that to have to be researched by the assessor. I think it should be left out. If the person is actually domiciled, they will have been getting a tax break anyway for this whole other reason. And I think we should do median, anything over median plus perhaps a percentage. I can be worked with about that. And then let's pin down a percent and get on with it. Sorry, guys.
I would go back to
Oh,
median.
just go back to getting rid of the domiciled residence thing and just do, can we do 20% above the median?
I would go with that. That's fine.
Fine. Why do you want to
more
get rid of the
than-
domiciled residence? I thought you wanted that.
Well, I just wanted the tax to be basically attached to properties that are sort of driving the median house price up, not all properties.
Well, that's when it gets tricky. Yeah.
Median plus 20%, and let's think of a percentage and look at some of the numbers.
If we do
1% to
plus
each
20
buyer and seller.
At 1% buyer and seller, I think.
I
that-
want 2 to
That-
4%. I think each should pay 2%. 1% is the minimum. So I think we should have a 4% tax, two to buyer, 2 to seller.
That, it's
I was still
3% in
waiting
New York
for-
City.
Yeah.
It's 4%'s aggressive.
It's very aggressive.
It's 3% in New York City, and that's aggressive.
We're in a crisis, guys.
Yeah, but if we're not gonna have a policy tailored to the problem, I think we should be careful about being aggressive. And if we're gonna give up on exempting a residential exemption, I think we have to be careful about being aggressive.
Yeah, Mike?
Yes.
Yeah, I think 1% to the buyer, 1% to the seller. Money will come in. Sales that are way up, and they will slowly go up, or maybe rapidly. We'll be getting more money, and it'll be yet another steady little source of income. And I just wish the state would let us do this, and that they let us do it last year, but never mind, water under the bridge. So I'm saying 1% to buyer, 1% to seller, median income, 20% over median income.
That's good.
I would like that.
It's not median income, it's median.
Median home.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Losing my language. Sorry.
That's good, Helen.
I
Thank
mean,
you.
that means that 75% of the properties would not be subject to any form of transfer fee.
But
We are raising the-
Why is that, Ryan? 'Cause they're
Because
not-
the median is it's half of them sell for less and half of them sell for more.
That
Yeah,
doesn't mean 70% wouldn't, because the median's a number. So 20% above the median wouldn't mean that that 70% don't qualify. If everything's hovering just over the median or not over the median, that would be the case. But a median home, like, because of the formula, it's kind of, it's not an accurate number when there's no inventory, first of all, because that's going to float up and down with inventory on the market, what's on the market. But this puts us at, if we can tax instead of doing a 1% tax like a lot of places are doing, and doing a 2% tax, I think we get close in the number at 20% above median that we would have got on a 1% tax on the seller at the median.
that's 1% on seller and 1% on buyer.
Right.
So whatever we choose, whether it's 2%, 4%, 1%, it's usually split between the seller and the buyer.
It can be.
So may I ask Mr. Turkanian and Mr. Sumner's opinion on this
Yes.
or experience with this? You could say no.
Well, I'm not sure I have an opinion. I think that housing is in desperate need of funds. I think a formula where you have to resort to a a number that moves all the time is difficult to administer. You know, rather than saying median value, I'd pick a number, but that's, you know, your decision. Ultimately, the legislature is going to decide if they are even interested in this, what they're going to do. So, you know, I just take your best shot at it and we'll have to see what happens.
Okay.
Can we
Yeah,
decide on a
This is
percent?
Charlie's, I mean, this is Charlie, but Harry sort of said the exact same things I'm thinking. Really, the revenues, it's all about revenue, right? We need revenue for affordable housing, so. However we get there, and you're gonna just have to change it over time. Thanks.
We can't change it unless we have the language in there that has it based on, because it's legislation. So, you know, whatever we've got in here would be really hard to change if at all possible. So that's the reason I'm into it being geared to the median income.
Median,
Are we agreed on something?
Median price sale, I'm sorry. Here's what I think we've got. You tell me. Buyer seller split it. Median sales price, you know, house value, whatever the term is, plus 20%. And 1% each buyer and seller, so 2%. Is that where we are?
or just put it at $1 million and just call it, and it'll be $1 million if the median floats up that high.
No, I don't want to put that.
No.
No, I want it on all houses.
Yep.
All houses. I don't want to wait for $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it can, I'm going to say it again, it could go down.
It could. All right, so I will move what Helen said, just to move things
I
forward.
just want to say that there's precedent for what Mike's saying. In other markets, it's a luxury tax. In New York, it's a luxury transfer tax of 3%. It is troubling, and I think that we should not penalize the middle class because we need affordable housing dollars. We do need affordable housing dollars, but the middle class probably, who are struggling themselves, is probably not the right source of those dollars.
So,
And if we don't like
So these houses,
looking at the domiciled residents, not because it's inappropriate policy, Boston's doing it, but because of enforcement, I think we need to look at the ceiling of the house price, and $1 million seems reasonable to me. And if we don't like it, we could lower it to 900 or 850.
so can we have two numbers? I'm sorry to interrupt you, Justina.
Yeah.
But not that sorry. Can we have two numbers where we stick with the median price, but all homes over 1 million or 1.5 million are taxed at 2% or whatever, without exclusion or
so right now, as
with
it's
more of a
written,
tax?
it's over 2 million, but it could, I mean, yeah, I don't know.
I think it's just clean and simple to set it at $1 million.
Okay, fine, good. Let's do it.
I think, you know, when we talk about the revenue, if we look at the short-term rental tax, that's a use tax. That's quite a bit more revenue that we're going to get from this one, regardless. And I think it targets a lot of the issue more directly. It's philosophical whether you think this should just be an extra tax levied on people, pretty much, you know, half the houses that sell, or a luxury tax on houses that are driving up the property values. That's kind of the question.
Well, I'm saying there should be two separate taxes. Luxury and a transfer tax on all sales.
Ryan, do you have any sense of what the revenue looks like?
From what I did before, yes. But Yeah, home value.
I know this is taking a while. I don't know how to make it go faster.
Well, I'm not going to support this unless it's a luxury tax.
So, I mean, I would say that the majority of houses over the median are not being bought by the middle class. It's too expensive. You're talking about $3,000 a month mortgage.
Mhm.
So, let's see if I can.
Well,
I don't even
But
know.
they are being bought by second homeowners, Ryan.
Yes,
two
yes,
income
and so they're
earners
be-
are two
and so-
income earners are squeezing into them. They're getting somebody to be a roommate and so forth. They're making it work. I'm really think 850 if we don't like $1 million, but I really have listened to Mike and I thought about it, and I'm not willing to support a blanket, median house price, because we have a housing crisis and it is a struggle for local families to swing these housing prices, and it just seems like a policy that we've got to really think carefully about, not penalizing local families who are trying to squeeze into these houses and who, for whom the house might be their only asset, that maybe they were highly leveraged, so I think it's more appropriate to shift it towards the upper end of the market in response to the problem that we're trying to correct for.
Justina, so if you want to do that, I get it. I heard you. But let's go back to what Mike suggested a while ago, median income plus 40%, median income plus 30%.
Income?
Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, house sale. Just substitute the right,
Yeah, okay.
yeah.
Right.
Saying every time I say income and then, like, shoot me now. Oh, God.
Okay.
So that would be more money. It would take a lot, it would be a higher threshold.
Gotcha.
And it would still be flexible if, let's say, in 3 years from now, the legislature finally decides to let municipalities do this. One of the things I'm very aware of is, to get back to the kind of people that want to buy houses here, is what happened in East Hampton slowly over the years. And it just goes up.
Yeah.
So I think that having any set number like $1 million or even 1.5 or whatever is a very big mistake. Thank you.
Okay. I think the more I think about it, the more a set number makes sense to me of $1 million, because if everybody thinks that this is going in a certain direction, then that million becomes a lower than the thing. But in the end of the day, if we're going to have a town here, all sorts of things inflate. Like the house that I live in was a median house a couple of years ago. People are still going to have to buy houses somehow, and I don't know how, and this, if you shoot too low on the target, then the seller in a seller's market, it will cause the price of that median home to rise by that percentage, right? Because this, in a seller's market, then they're going to transfer that tax onto a buyer too sometimes. So I don't know.
I mean, you're talking about fractions of a percent.
Yeah.
Essentially, yes. So if we say, all right,
where the real money is in the big purchases. That's where the real money comes into the town. That small percentage over the median.
No.
Mm-mm.
No.
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 And it wouldn't be predictable either, which is important. If there is any, if it does get passed, for a predictable revenue stream to be directed towards housing enables a lot more than an unpredictable revenue stream. If you go high, you're like, I mean, in 2019, 9 properties sold for over $1 million. 2018, 8 properties. 2017, 15. So it's just all over the place for a value over $1 million. You're talking about a very small percentage of Wellfleet's overall home sales are at that value. So
That may change.
yeah, it may change. You know, and I don't know, maybe in 5 years, the median sale price is $1 million. So
Okay. We agree on buyer and seller. We don't seem to agree on median plus any percentage, or do we?
I'm okay with that.
Median plus 20%, is that?
So that's 700, a house over $720,000.
Yeah, and not paying very much, there's not a huge amount of percentage. The percentage for that isn't a huge dent in a middle-class family, middle-class buyer or seller.
Yeah, I think it takes it out of the middle class.
But it isn't a huge dent.
No.
No. Yeah. So if we could vote on this, it may never get voted on and approved by the legislature, but I would like to decide on it and see how it goes and have it be something that if it only takes place 10 years from now, the fact that it's a median selling price figure, it will be adjusted to whatever it is then. And again, it might go down. We might have a tsunami. I don't know.
All right, so do we want to do a median price plus 20%
I
and have
do.
1% and 1% to buyer and seller?
I do.
I'll compromise on that for right now, just to,
Yeah,
I'm
Okay,
in.
I'm good with
okay, we
that.
all in?
yeah.
Yeah, and no exemption for residents.
No
Okay,
And
exemption.
then, so there is a couple of other things.
So wait, should we take a vote on this before we move on to another thing?
Yes.
Do we need a vote?
what
I
are
move-
the things, Ryan, quickly, and we can vote the whole thing.
Is, so the right at the top here, I want to make sure I got the right recipients.
It's called the Wellfleet Affordable Housing Trust.
Yeah, you can delete the word fund.
Yep.
Okay,
And
so
just to the point about, just to the point about raising revenue, raising the short-term rental tax to 6% increases the amount that we could dedicate to housing.
Okay, let's vote on this first, though.
Okay, you're right. I'm sorry.
God, please.
Okay, I move that we approve the real estate transfer tax of 2%, 1% buyer, 1% seller to all real estate over the median value plus 20%.
Helen second.
Roll call vote.
Who's, okay, Janet, I.
Christina, I.
Ryan, I.
Michael, aye.
Helen, I. All right.
Okay,
Ah.
and then, so the Wellfleet Housing Trust,
Affordable Housing Trust. You can just erase funds.
oh, because there's the trust without
gone.
the
Everything's
affordable.
going to the trust.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's Wellfleet Housing Trust, right? Not the affordable.
Wellfleet Affordable Housing Trust.
Well, as Harry, what is-
Harry, what is it?
Just remove the word fund.
For-
Wellfleet Affordable Housing Trust is correct.
Okay. And not the Wellfleet Housing Trust.
No.
No,
Okay. Wellfleet Housing Authority.
no,
No.
no,
Okay. And
Wellfleet
then
Affordable Housing Trust.
Housing Trust. And then if you scroll up a little bit more, This one right here, the first 75,000 collected in each fiscal year shall be deposited into the town's capital improvement stabilization fund. Provincetown's proposal set it at 250,000. The revenue projections are not, I mean, if we set it at 250,000, the revenue projections that would be going into it, into the housing funds would be pretty small. So I don't know if we want,
75,000's fine.
yeah, I mean, we could remove it entirely if we wanted to. So is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I think that, is my hand up? Yes, it is.
Yeah, go ahead, Helen.
I'm all for money going into something other than housing. I did hear Chief Polly and I agree with that. But in this case, these sales are so much about what's happening with housing for people with less money. I would like to take that out. But I'd like to know from Harry. I mean, what are the other sources for the stabilization fund? Appropriations at town meeting? How do we usually get money in there? God, I don't even know that.
Money goes into the stabilization fund by appropriation at town meeting. Typically, it's either raised and appropriated, or if we have excess free cash, we transfer some free cash in there.
Right.
And so this would actually, it's not the stabilization fund. It would basically create a capital stabilization fund. So
A new fund.
for instance, like the police cruisers could be funded in part by this.
I think, yeah, ultimately a good solution to the whole, and this is way off topic now, to the issue of predictable recurring capital expenses is to establish a capital improvement stabilization fund funded at some level amount that will, on average, defray those costs every year. So you don't have to do this every year looking for an override for a police cruiser or for a box of thumbtacks or whatever it is. But that's a policy planning question that's a little bit bigger than this, or different from this.
Yeah, so we don't have a capital improvement stabilization fund.
No, we have a
No.
stabilization fund, and we have a dredging stabilization fund, and we may also have a marina stabilization fund. But we don't have one that's specifically a capital improvement stabilization fund, which would be a good planning tool.
Yeah, so this would basically create one that's funded, level funded.
Mhm.
Sounds good to me.
There are other places to get it. I would compromise on having it be, let's say, the first 25,000 or the first 50,000. But the thing that's moving the fastest in the wrong direction is housing right now. There is no other kind of issue that's like exploding in the wrong direction.
Yeah, but you could take, if you need it for housing, you could take it out of the capital improvement stabilization fund that we're creating, right?
No, capital improvements.
Well,
All houses are capital improvements. If the town started buying houses,
Point of order. Go ahead, Harry.
towns can change the purpose for which stabilization funds are by vote, or used by vote at town meeting.
Oh,
So you can create a state capital improvement stabilization fund and say, oh, never mind, we're gonna have instead an ice cream for children stabilization fund. And you can do that.
Okay.
yes,
All right.
please.
And I think, this kind of goes into the primary concern, not the primary, another concern I have is, I think there's been some request for, well, I know there's been a request from the Affordable Housing Trust to move a bulk of funding from the short-term rental tax, which we're also increasing into affordable housing. And I think it's good that some money is going in from each of those things into operating costs for the town. I think it kind of can be, it's in some way offsetting property tax as well as increasing housing stock. And I think that plays well.
Okay, how about 50,000? I'm compromising.
So Ryan, do you have the numbers of how many houses have sold this year? You do somewhere.
Yeah, I do, but
And if we did 2%, what would the percentage be that we made this year?
I haven't done it with the 20% exclusion, so I wouldn't be able to
Oh, okay.
to
Well,
tell you.
let's just do 50,000.
All right, fine, good. Let's go,
Okay.
let's, yeah, 50,000 and we can change it.
Okay.
And I think the only other section is kind of a question for Harry. If you scroll all the way down, Rebecca. So, right, oh, keep going. Oh, wait, no, that's it. Go up. So D, right here, these two. Harry, which one would be, I don't know, if it passes, which one would be better?
Let's see. I think not sure, possibly D. Normally you want these fees paid at the time of transfer and collected by the registry and remitted, like the land bank tax was, and now the CPA surcharge is. Because that way it just happens. You're not relying on somebody to send you a check after they've, moved to a different continent.
Yep.
Okay, D. Can we
So
do the whole thing, please? Can we go up? So
the
we can see?
second D then?
Yeah. Yeah, stop. Thank you. Yeah, I like the second D better.
Yeah, I'd use the second D, but in the end, I'd probably go back and look at the actual statutory language that goes with the CPA surcharge and see how the mechanism, and use that mechanism for
Okay.
collection and remittance.
So I'll take a look at that, and then I'll have this back with that language change.
Yeah, that's not material though, I don't think so, to the thing, so we can place it and then that can get changed before we print the warrant, but we can place it and recommend it.
Even if you have to change it at town meeting, you can do it. I'm not a fan of such things, but
Yeah, but I think if you want to do that, but I think we can place it now as amended.
I agree.
Okay, yeah.
Because that's not a material change. It doesn't impact the actual article,
Intent.
the intent of the article.
Well, we just want to make it right. It is substantive,
Mhm.
but we want to make it right. Whatever is the rightest.
Yeah.
yeah, I would go with the second D right as of now, if I had to make a decision right now.
Well, can you look up the thing you said you thought should be referred to, please? Or can somebody do it?
I'll look it up tomorrow. Not
Okay.
right now, Helen.
Thank you. Not now.
Okay.
No.
So that doesn't matter. We've approved this. Can we, is there anything else on here, Ryan, that we need to talk about?
Nope.
Okay, good. So,
Okay, if Brian will get me the copy once he's done with it, I could stick it in the warrant.
Yep. I'll get it to you tomorrow.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
okay,
Thank you, Ryan. You've done a great job.
okay,
Thank you.
thank you. All
A
right,
great service to your town.
Thank you, board and Harry, for actually doing it. I was afraid that we were going to kick it down the can, kick the can down the road again tonight.
There's no more time to kick the can, Helen.
Yeah.
Well, why do you think I said, let's do it now?
okay, so let's get back the warrant up and
Yeah,
just,
is there a recommendation? Did that constitute a recommendation on this or just a placement?
No, didn't we vote to place and recommend?
we didn't vote. to
Oh,
place
so
it.
I move that we
Oh my
approve it, we approve this article as amended.
And recommend to place.
Place and insert and recommend.
Second,
Okay, roll call vote.
Janet, I.
Dana, I.
Ryan, I.
Michael, aye.
Helen, I.
Okay. Thank you.
Oh, God.
Okay, that was tough. That was a tough one.
It's done. So,
All right, now we're on this disposition of town on land. We've already done this or no?
We haven't, as far as I know, and I still want to get recommendations from the planning board, open space, only because that is an area that needs, that is addressed for, I just forgot the National Heritage and Endangered Species Act. And it's more complicated. So we just need, we need the planning board, open space, who else?
Well,
Natural resources, I
Resources.
don't know why that's on there, and then I read their
Hold on.
charge.
Hold on,
Okay.
Harry?
and just quickly, typically what happens is any board or committee that's got a recommendation to offer at the time of warrant goes to press, we put in there.
I'm not sure they've even seen this.
Well, and we leave it at that.
They can do it at town meeting.
Or they can be sent it, and Rebecca, I got halfway through sending you who should get what, and then all the numbers changed.
Okay,
Never mind, let's just keep moving.
yes.
so I think we
so-
voted to place it, but
We didn't post, it's placed but not recommended,
Yeah.
and I still don't,
Alright,
I would
okay.
still withhold my recommendation.
Me too.
me too.
Okay, that's fine. We can withhold it all the way to town meeting. And just listen to, we don't have to make any recommendation.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Okay.
what is it? Or
High Toss
Oh.
Road?
hold yours or forever. I don't know.
Yes, don't worry about it.
That's when you get married.
I
don't
know, that's the same thing.
The
Okay.
planning board is voting on that Wednesday.
Oh, God.
Okay, High Toss Road, okay, keep going. Conscom. Are these right now, Ryan? The transfer?
Yes,
proceeds?
yes.
Okay. The Black Custard article,
Oh, can't we call it disposal of dredging spoil? Okay, take out black custard. It's
Okay,
too weird.
yeah, I would like to take out black custard.
Yeah,
Harry, you've done so much work. I won't fight you on that.
thank you. All right,
Source of funding. So I think like everything, it has to be a Prop 2.5 override unless we find the funds somewhere.
Harry?
Well, I think we're gonna end up with some money from the stabilization fund. This is probably small enough so that it's not gonna upset the overall planning. Why don't we just leave this as it is for now?
yeah,
Yeah.
we can always withdraw it. Good idea.
We'll be asking you to vote on overrides and debt exclusions, hopefully on Thursday, because that's the last chance. And if this
Okay.
needs to be, we can revisit it.
okay,
Okay.
well, it's on there and recommended right now, so,
Mhm.
all right, prevailing wage, did we vote that?
I thought we had voted it.
Yeah, we
a while ago.
recommended it.
Yeah, I recommended it.
Let's take a vote to recommend again.
Okay,
Okay, Janet, I,
Well,
So
what's
moved.
the
so moved,
Say so moved,
so
okay,
moved.
second,
Janet, I,
Justina, I.
Ryan, I.
Michael, I.
Helen, I have a question for Harry.
Yeah,
I'm not clear why you have, like, who requested the article. This isn't an agenda item, it's a warrant. So why is that? Why do you have these requested by X? You know,
we've
that
had
normal?
an inconsistent history on this, but I think it's useful information for the voters to know who asked for it. We can certainly remove all of
I
the
just-
requested buys easily.
Yeah,
I like it.
I don't mind it. I'm just wondering
Yeah. Mhm.
if it's a leftover thing from an agenda item and not normal.
No,
Okay, that's all. Okay,
Okay, so 5-0 on that,
you
okay.
got it.
yeah.
Underground fuel tanks at the marina, we did this, right?
Think so.
Did you do it after I completely rewrote it?
No, let's do it right now. I move to place underground fuel tanks at the marina and recommend.
Second,
Janet, I.
Tina, I.
Ryan, I.
Michael, I.
Ellen, I.
Okay, motion carries 5-0 to place and recommend. Ag Commission, let's skip that. I have the language for you, Harry. I'll send it to you tomorrow.
Okay,
Farm, right to farm. Expanded residential property exemption. Yeah,
just, right to farm is okay the way it is, I think.
Not as far as I'm concerned, but
Okay,
never mind.
okay, sorry.
It is.
oh, we didn't vote to recommend it or not? I thought we voted.
Yeah, we did. Let's take a vote again anyways, because Justine is here.
So
Yeah,
this is the right to farm?
Yeah, 38A at the moment.
Yeah,
move
I
to
think we
rec-
voted on the commission, not the right to farm yet.
We didn't vote on the commission. We replaced the right to farm, I think.
Oh,
I move to recommend the right to farm bylaw into the 2021 town meeting warrant.
Second,
Roll call vote.
Janet, I.
Tina, I.
Ryan abstain.
Michael, I.
Helen, no. I just don't like the language. Sorry.
Okay, so that's 3-1-1.
Is that the recommendation or the placement?
That's the recommendation. We already placed it.
Okay, recommends 3, 1,
1-1.
1. Okay, got it.
Okay. Expanding residential property tax exemption. So
So we voted on this a while ago.
okay, I remember. Yeah. So
I tried to get stuff done early and I don't know.
we placed it and now we recommend. Did we vote to recommend? We didn't.
I think we voted to recommend, but we should probably take another vote just to be sure.
Yeah, okay. I move to recommend the expansion of the of the residential tax exemption.
Second,
Roll call vote.
Janet, I.
Tina, I.
Ryan, I.
Michael, I.
Go for it, Helen. It's for if you're renting to a year-round person.
I know. Helen, I know.
I know, this is hard. This is
Yeah,
a new
I mean-
year.
Right now, those properties are getting taxed as if they're.
I know.
They need every little thing. They need every little help.
Yep.
Okay. Is this done?
Yeah, Article 40, home rule petition,
This
likely.
is Likely. Yeah.
That's that one, yeah.
We did this. We voted to place and recommend 5-0 on that.
Yeah, and just use Helen's summary. I don't have the energy
I
to.
sent it to him.
All
Did you
right.
get it, Harry?
I don't know what I'll have to look. I just have the summary that's in the draft. I don't know if that's the correct one.
I
Oh,
think.
no, I
it's
don't
the
have a
correct
summary
one,
at all.
But
Yeah, you don't have a
I'll
summary for
resend-
40.
I will resend it to you, okay?
Yep.
I also sent you another one. Did you get that?
I have been so busy, Helen, I'm not sure what I got.
Okay, well, I'm busy too. I'll resend them to you.
You have your own folder.
Okay, the
Harbor
second one, both of those
Flora.
we've placed and recommended the Blakely articles.
Yeah.
Yeah,
5-0 on both of those, I remember.
Yeah.
Wellfleet Harbor Flora and Fauna Survey.
yes.
I think we had voted on this, but yeah, let's do it again just to make sure.
Yep, I would vote yes if we have a motion.
I moved to,
Have we placed it already?
just place and recommend.
I move to place and recommend Article 42, Wellfleet
No,
Harbor,
no,
Flora
no,
and Fauna.
don't have a number, Helen.
Okay, I move to place and recommend Wellfleet Harbor Flora and Fauna Survey.
Second,
Roll call vote.
Janet, I.
Christina, I.
Ryan, I.
Michael, I.
Helen, I.
Okay. The Affordable Housing Trust Bylaw, we did that last time. Okay.
Okay, can I speak to this?
I think we've already voted on the ADUs. It's referred to the,
Um,
or we
Can
have
I-
it because it's referred to the planning board. Yeah.
Yeah, can I speak to this?
yes.
So at the end of this one, which is the select board's one, scroll all the way down, please. At a certain point, wait. Yeah, keep going.
That's the
Okay,
summer.
okay, wait, go up. We're not looking at the petitioned one. We're looking at the other one. So please go back up to the bottom of the article. Yeah, so at a certain point, the people who were drafting this just gave it to the partnership. And the partnership, you know, Sharon or whoever, got it to Rebecca, I guess. And the attorney who, we all got the attorney's questions about it and read, said that there was something left out at the end here of the penalty. And I don't see it in this copy.
Oh, no, Helen, that was not what the comment was. The comment was, it appears that the fine shall be $300 for each offense, including the first offense. She was asking in that comment.
No, that was another comment. Anyway, there was a typo. That's my point, and that we should fix. Not a typo. There was something left off. I'm not looking at the actual document because dear
Okay,
Rebecca, can you scroll
Well,
down?
Those are things that are non-material edits that we don't have to deal with right now on the.
Okay,
floor.
good.
And
Because
so
there's
it's
no-
going to be back before us because it's going to the planning board. I would recommend, yeah.
Yeah, we went through the attorney's, queries, and most of them are just being due diligent on
Yeah.
that person's part. Let's skip that now, okay?
Yes,
And
okay, so we
the
can scroll through.
go through the petitioned one. Let's pass both of them, please.
Well, it's already placed because it's petition.
Passed on the
Wait a
document.
minute,
not
why
passed
is
on-
there a line through all of this? This is an existing bylaw. Harry, why is this all in blue with a line through it?
Are we all in blue?
Yeah,
What?
this is not,
Is
that,
this-
it,
all that's still in there.
well, it's a track change. So what's happened is the one with the scrambled highlighting and formatting, I deleted and replaced it with the same text. So if you go down further, you will see
Okay,
it back in as an addition, starting there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, hold on. So
Don't
what's
panic.
underlined is what here? That's all in there already.
That's all. That's the result of the track change.
Okay, but my understanding was if you underline something,
No, Helen, that's the result of it being a track change that hasn't been accepted yet. It's not going to appear that way in the actual text.
thank you.
Okay,
Okay, let's keep moving. Thank you, Harry.
Yep.
For clarification. All right. How you doing, Charlie? All right, let's see. What time is it, by the way?
It's
it
quarter
is
of nine. and
8:44,
Okay,
quarter to
we're
9.
almost done.
yeah,
Yeah,
let's go and get this done by 9. We're back at it tomorrow and Thursday, so.
That's kind of the end of it, because the rest of it, 48 through 50, there's no mystery there.
Okay,
So,
Before we leave the animal control one, there was one point Helen raised that you guys never really addressed, and that is the animals in cars. I think it still says dogs rather than animals,
it should be animals.
and that should probably be fixed if I can figure out where it is. Yeah, it says
Right.
15.7, no dog may be left unattended in a parked vehicle at any time of the year.
I'm not complaining about all the work you've done, Harry, but I did send you, never mind, it should
Yes,
be
you did.
animal.
So
But
I have a question about that. So let's say you're taking your dog to the vet, or your bird or your cat to the vet. Did we already go through this? He's got his hand on his forehead.
Well,
And you just want to stop and get a gallon of milk. Are you gonna get a ticket?
yeah.
Janet, hello?
We already talked about this. Okay, everybody's got their hand on their forehead. Forget it.
Yeah, Janet, it's a state law. Just trust me.
Okay, good, fine. That's
It's a
great.
state law, otherwise I would argue it.
I want you to know that was the only select board meeting I have ever missed.
Well,
Yay, you're great.
You didn't miss, I mean,
And
So
I
that-
hated
that
meetings.
should
Can we
read,
just like, please be done?
yes,
okay,
so that
let's move
Not-
off of this. It's done.
no animal may be left unattended
Okay,
In a car,
in a parked vehicle at any time.
yes, right.
Great, done.
good, okay.
That's
They have
it.
to start letting you bring your dog into stores now. Okay, let's go to the next one.
That's it.
There is no next one.
we're
The next
done.
one is supper.
Okay,
Well,
can,
wait,
Hey,
what
Mike,
about
that
the
was a-
short-term rental tax?
Mike, that was a 3-1 vote. Do you want to have a full vote on that?
oh yeah,
I'll
let's
vote
have
for
a
it.
full vote while we're. Why was
Yeah,
it? two?
I'll do 4-1. I'll do 4.
Okay,
Who's the one who didn't like it?
me.
Oh, that's right, yeah. I get it,
I
Ryan.
wish you talked to Officer Keogh.
Okay,
He's
Keogh.
got a dog.
no, I almost voted to not recommend it too because of that, but it's fine.
Talk to Officer Keogh.
You
All
can
right,
choose,
so
Ryan.
now we are on to select board reports.
Wait, I want to ask about the short-term rental tax. What did you guys decide on that? Aren't we talking about
You
that?
want to add?
3U,
Yeah, we voted to raise it to 6%
Okay, good, fine.
and
Done.
recommend. Do you want?
You can include my vote in that for approval, yes.
So let's do that again.
Okay,
that's
back up and find that.
3U,
Through you.
yes.
yeah, I'm making these changes as we go, because
As fast as you
You're doing great.
can.
Oh, God.
so, okay,
yeah, right now it says select board recommends 3-1.
So
It's
do
4-1.
Who
Okay.
didn't want it?
Me, I thought, after listening to all our motel owners and so forth, I just remembered
Crisis.
6% was too high.
We're
That's
in
the
a
only reason I
crisis.
voted about it. 6% I think is too much.
We can always lower it,
I mean, they're
but
booked,
I hear you.
they're booked entirely for the summer at this point.
Yeah,
I'm glad.
yeah.
That's good.
That's-
Okay.
okay, so on to select board reports. I don't have any reports.
Mr. Chair, may I make a suggestion that because this is an unusual and not a regular meeting, that we just do not have select board report, correspondence report, town administrators reports, and whatever else is in front of us.
That's fine unless unless Charlie has anything to update us on here, because I think he does.
We'll let Charlie go.
I do have a board report as well.
Okay, go ahead, Justina.
I just wanted to give everybody a heads up that on Thursday, I'll be bringing in a bare bones, i.e. Septic, alternative septic warrant article. Because I know that we voted to replace the wastewater articles, but had to, for obvious reasons, had to take them off. And I did get a chance to bring Scott Horsley and Kurt Felixson to talk to Charlie Sumner to get his advice on how they should handle the funding queue. Because there's a lot of funding coming available in August and throughout the year for wastewater on both the federal and state level, as well as the county level. And I think the county level funding is going to be the easiest one to fix here. Because I sit on the Cape Cod Water Protection Fund, the SRF, the 2.75% of the wastewater of the room occupancy tax, other towns are getting funded, and I want to see us in line for the funding that we can get funded for the alternative septic. So if we do a really bare bones borrowing authorization, maybe for 250,000, we can then get in that funding queue. So I'll bring that in for everybody to give some thought to and see what you guys think. But I do think we should avoid where we can, which may not be very often, of not getting ourselves, removing our eligibility for funding for grants, and we won't be spending, we'll be doing a borrowing authorization. So that's a lot to digest, and I didn't want to blindside anybody on Thursday, but that was Scott Horsley's recommendation, and that's just to help mitigate some of the funding impact of having to pull those wastewater articles. So that's my select board report.
Christina, one question I'm going to want to have an answer to when we get there is, does the grant application process with the Cape Cod Water Protection Group require a borrowing by the town, or can you just make a grant application?
You have to
It's
qualify for
50%.
SRF.
Oh, hold on. Go ahead.
It's SRF and it's 50% grant, and it's 50% town. So yeah, it has to be, it's got to be, to get into the queue, you have to have approval.
2 questions. Mike?
Okay, but we can't discuss this.
Yeah, I didn't want to, I felt rude blindsiding everybody. So I just kind of wanted to give a heads up.
I mean, you can
I'm
ask questions.
glad, you're doing this, Justina. I can say that, okay?
Yeah, that's fine. I just don't want to get into a broad discussion about it, but for FYI, I think that's fine.
Okay,
And we'll hear it on Thursday, so.
okay.
Yeah, we can
Okay.
talk about it and get a consensus, but I just don't want to be rude and dump it on everyone.
Okay, and Harry, we should figure out what we actually have to do, if we can authorize matching funds or something like that. That might be appropriate or something. But anyways, Charlie?
Good evening, everyone. That was reminds me of how much I miss select board meetings, but I think I'll just keep it brief because we're all tired. So I just wanted to let you know and the public know too that, so Lisa Sauvé, who was working for the town on a contract basis and left recently, Lisa is back. She started again today.
Yay.
So that's good news. And I will divulge, Lisa and I worked together in Brewster for 28 years together. So
Wow.
we have, I would say we have a pretty good relationship and ability to work together. On Wednesday of this week, Wednesday morning, I'm meeting with another retired finance officer from a Cape Cod community. I'll leave it at that. Who's been recommended by several people that Harry and I know and trust. So I'm hopeful that in this case, this particular woman might come on board as well. And the idea would be that we would have one person sort of look back at transactions, activity, correct mistakes, errors, omissions that were made. And then we would have the other party going from today forward in sort of creating a chart of accounts and accounting processes and procedures that we would want, particularly for the new fiscal year. So we really would have a tag team of 2 people working on this, on these matters, and it's going to take several months to work our way through this. So anyway, the important thing is Wednesday, I might have some better news on sort of the genesis of a plan that we'll use going forward. So I'll give you an update at some future meeting. You know, obviously the critical issues right now are working on this warrant. And then, as I said earlier, I believe Lisa Sauvé will start to take a look at current appropriations to see if there's some excess funds from old projects that we might be able to use to fund some of these items on this warrant. And then more importantly, Lisa is taking a look at the current fiscal year to see where we have some deficiencies, and we do. Harry's mentioned it briefly. But those are items that Lisa will be working on and over the next week or so. So anyway, I'll leave it at that and look forward to talking to you again tomorrow night.
Okay, hey,
Mike?
Charlie, I just got a question about the auditors. Are they coming? We have a date set for the.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, so I think as I recall from Rebecca that we have invited the auditors in to meet with the select board on May 24th, I believe. Rebecca will correct me if I'm wrong.
You are not wrong. They will be in on the meeting on May 25th.
Oh, 25th. See, I was wrong. I said the 24th.
Oh.
Tuesday. I just know it's a Tuesday.
Yeah, so yeah, thank you, Mike. You know, that's an important issue and we can use that as a sort of a jumping board going forward. But
I have a
Okay,
question.
and Helen and then Ryan.
Yeah, quick question. And that's the same night we have Nature's an Alternative continued to. Anyway, through you to Charlie. So it all sounds good, Lisa and this other possible person. So right now we have appropriated money to pay an accountant and the accountant isn't here. So I'm just wondering how these two people get paid. I'm sure it's fine, but could you let us know that?
yeah, well, the answer is I don't really know.
Oh, crap.
So, you know, what I really need to do is, that's why the meeting on Wednesday is kind of critical, is I want to sit down. Harry's going to participate. Rich Mienaview from Eastham is helping out. I want to sit down with all these parties and sort of outline a structure and a work plan. Once we test that against all of us, then we can say, okay, we need this person to work 3 days a week and this person to work 3 days a week. Let's do a calculation on what they're going to get paid. Then we'll analyze the town accountant's budget. My instinct is we're going to pay for those out of the town accountant's
Yeah, okay.
salary line item. Yeah,
I just was, it was a little too fuzzy for me. Thank you.
yeah. So, but I do want to have a better idea of, do we have funds available within those budgets to satisfy this? I think going forward in the new fiscal year, as I recall from talking to Harry, that there is some extra monies embedded in that budget. So I think we're good going
Yeah.
forward.
There's about, let's see, accountant is 130. There's about $120,000 more than was last year, that was in last year's budget.
Yeah. Yeah, so I think we're okay there, but we'll put an outline together and make sure that, you know, people know what we're doing and what the costs are. The only other thing that has come up too is we did put, as I mentioned, a copy of the most recent audit and management letter on the website. But I guess there is a section, someone approached me on the website for past audits. And we have some past audits on there, but not all of the past audits. Obviously, this week we're all busy getting the warrant and the budget finalized, but as I catch up with things, we'll populate that so the public has access to this past information as well. So we'll start to make some progress after next week.
Okay, Ryan.
Yeah, so I'm glad that Lisa's decided to come back. She already has a good degree of familiarity with this, you know, the current the current accounting situation for the town. And I think it does make a lot of sense to basically bifurcate the workload, because otherwise it's a lot for one person, or it's a lot if people are doing forward and backwards rather than just doing one. So thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. And yeah, that's good. So
And I move to adjourn.
yes.
I move that we adjourn.
Second,
Second.
thank
So
you,
roll call
guys.
Thank you, everybody. I love you all.
Have to
Go away
vote
now.
to adjourn.